to see Star Wars. Been to see it yet? I have not. I've heard mixed reviews. Uh, some very glowing, some not so glowing. Very interesting. How many of you are going to see it, and how many of you are fired up for our discussion tonight? I know that I personally am very much looking forward to what we're going to jump into in terms of the real shortcut to success. And if, you know, most of you are pretty adept at understanding kind of the real meaning behind some of the titles to my videos, you know, as a person who preaches constantly that there are no shortcuts. Hey, Diamond Tree, how you doing? That there are no real shortcuts to the things that you want. I actually got into a debate with, not really a debate, but a kind of a back and forth with one of my mentors about 2 years ago. In fact, yeah, actually about a year and a half ago. And he was talking about shortcuts, and when you're developing products for customers, one of the things that you need to sell your customers on is shortcuts. As he was finishing up that part of his discussion, I kind of raised my hand because it was a small group that he was teaching of us. And I said, you know, I don't know how I feel about selling customers shortcuts. I don't really believe, you know, as a person who's had the career that I've had and as a person who's, you know, been consistently building a business, I don't really believe that there are any shortcuts, like the real shortcut to success. And he was basically the way he explained it was, think of it like this: the people that you're helping are on a journey where they're walking through the woods and they're somewhat lost, and you're taking them on this journey. He says you are the shortcut because you know where they are and you know where they're trying to go, right? And you know how to help them draw the straight line distance, okay? Whereas if they just did it on their own, they would walk aimlessly through the woods. They'd eventually get there, but you become the shortcut, figuratively speaking, by helping them just make the straight line distance and avoid a lot of that walking around lost. So I say that to say I understand that the title of the video is somewhat clickbaity. That's fine. I am not part of the nothing should ever be clickbait brigade. I think every title that's well done is some level of click. I am baiting you to click on something because I want you to hear what I have to say. So people that have a problem with that it's somewhat it's somewhat comical to me that that's the thing that people get upset about. Like, this title's clickbait. Like, yeah, but did you get something of value when you got to the video? Now, I understand if it's saying click here and I'm going to give you a free car. And then you get there and it's like, well, I'm going to give 1,000 of you a set of keys to go to this warehouse where we're going to try to sell you, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of things. And out of the 1,000 people we send there, a bunch of you buy some subscription plan that inevitably pays for the car and pays, you know, that's, I guess, what people would call clickbait and malicious because it's misleading, right? But I really wanted to get into this to follow up the video that I did earlier this week about basically the true path to success. And it's in my Breaking Down Proverbs series, which I just started, which I'm very excited about. It's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. Facebook, if you're not hip, the Breaking Down Proverbs series is over actually on my YouTube channel. So I got Facebook over here on this phone. I got YouTube over here on this phone, and I'm broadcasting in both places at the same time. Eventually, I'll get to the point where I start broadcasting on Instagram as well. Just not there yet. Right now, I'm using Instagram primarily as my way to get book reviews out to all of you for the books that I think you should be reading. And Melanie says, right, clickbait is only annoying when it's really misleading. Right. So I use clickbaity titles all the time, but a lot of times I'm using them because I know what my viewer is thinking and I know what they're going through. And my whole purpose is helping people really get hold of their lives, understand their purpose and understand their destiny, and then have the knowledge, the skills, and the tools to actually go out and accomplish it. So if I know what you're thinking and I know what you're struggling with, I can craft a title in a way that's going to really entice you to click on it. And sometimes, yes, even what's in the video is not exactly what's in my title, but it's the message that I think you need to hear to help you deal with the thing that you're dealing with, right? So I had a video, just to make an example, I had a video titled INFJ Women, How to Find Out If a Guy Likes You. right? This is a question that I get a lot on my YouTube channel about relationships. And now what people are thinking they might see when they get to the video, if they don't know me, is here's a step-by-step list I'm going to teach you for how to know if a guy likes you. And it's really just go ask the dude. Like, you know, sometimes I use that as a means to kind of kick people in the behind. Like, dude, stop it. Get busy. Go do what you have to do. Right? So I'm totally okay with that. I'm totally okay with being baited into something that then gives me value back, right? You'll see a lot of Tony Robbins videos do that, but his videos are packed to the brim, like just packed down full of value for you to be able to apply to your life. So that's really what I wanted to talk about tonight, was this idea of the only real shortcut, right, to you being able to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. And one of the things I find really interesting is that most purpose-driven people, because I think people who aren't heavily purpose-driven may not struggle with this as much, but most purpose-driven people, and this is a theme that's going to probably repeat itself throughout the course of this video, and especially when we get into the Q&A, but most purpose-driven people struggle to really know why they were put on this earth. Like, they feel like something is driving them to do something that's greater than themselves. This need we have for significance and for contribution and for growth, right? That's three of the most important needs that a human being has, is significance. And then when you get to a higher level, it's growth and then contribution. And most purpose-driven people feel that tug, right? That I need to be doing something that contributes to the bigger picture, to something greater than myself, right? But the problem that most purpose-driven people run into, I've had this problem myself, is they don't necessarily know how to take that energy and focus it on an actual thing that they want to do with their lives, right? And I'm not talking about sitting on a beach like, I'm going to crush it in business so I can make $1 billion, so I can buy an island and go retire. Like, none of that is, like, owning fancy cars and all that stuff. None of that's enticing to me. Now, I'm not downplaying anybody who is motivated by those things. Okay, some people are motivated by material, and I think being materialistic is not a bad thing. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine a couple years ago. She was talking about the fact that she was materialistic, and she was painting it in this negative light. And I was like, being materialistic isn't negative. Like, if that's what motivates you, the materialism can be a great thing, because it can motivate you to do things that really help a lot of people, such that they're willing to give you of their time and resources so that you can get the material that you like, right? But that materialism can motivate you to do great things. And I told her, I said, materialism is only bad when your desire to have things causes you to harm other people. Right? It's like Adam Carolla said, I want the greediest company in the country figuring out how to cure cancer or cure AIDS, because they'll actually accomplish it. Like, if their goal is making money and they know they can make billions, if not trillions of dollars by solving a huge problem, then why wouldn't we want them on the job? So, you know, the understanding what motivates you and knowing that you've got this compulsion to go do something great, but you don't know how to focus that energy. And I will pretty much give you that the audience that I have focused on very heavily are these purpose-driven people. I think there's some people in life that are just content to kind of go through the motions. Again, not a bad thing at all. Okay, if you're content kind of doing your 9-to-5 thing and playing on the softball team, right, and having a few beers at the end of the weekend and chilling, hats off to you. Like, I sometimes envy people who are like that, because to me that life seems so much easier. It seems so much less complicated than someone who's literally trying to change the way the world thinks. Okay, that's my mission. Someone just asked, who was it? That was Felix asked, what motivates me? Changing the human condition, putting a dent in and I think a lot of times we look at the symptoms that are going on in the world, like there's hate and there's murder. No, there's fear. You're motivated by one of two things, fear or love. And if we can teach people that love is not this romantic silliness that Hollywood has made it out to be, but it's actually giving an F about other people around you and in your life to the degree that it shapes and molds your behavior toward them and towards other people, then we immediately get a better world. But the problem we have with that, the reason why that's so spiritually, physically, and emotionally fought against on this planet, is that we've been taught to have this famine mentality where we're all competing for these scarce resources. Even economics teaches that resources are rare and people face trade-offs. But it's not rare to the point where everybody can't eat. But we've come to believe that through thousands of years of survival. Leading up to now, we still live with that survival mentality when we've never had better access to resources, right? And of course, there are some countries that don't, but there are things we can do to change that reality. And if we can get people thinking in the right frame of mind, then your behaviors are always going to follow where you live in your thought life, right? And your feelings are always going to follow where you live in your thought life. So if that's true, if you are wired to think negatively about everything, right, and you're wired to be pessimistic about everything and to be, ungrateful for, sometimes things happen in our lives and it can cause us to be bitter or resentful. Okay, and I'm not immune to that myself, but I work very hard at not being that way. Like I have people in my life who I spend time with on a weekly basis in some cases, to make sure that my mind is in the right space, because my mind is ultimately going to govern my actions. My actions are going to determine my outcomes. So if I can get the world thinking along the lines of prosperity versus poverty and famine, then we can create a situation where people behave very differently, because now they're no longer thinking, I've got to crush this person in order to get what I want. They think, I'll cooperate with that person because there's enough to go around. So going back to the original point, most people, at least in my experience that I've worked with, when they're purpose driven, the challenge with that is they don't understand how to focus that purpose, and they spend years, like every year, like most of you found me because you were looking for yourselves, right? I make so much personality and psychology content that there's this need to discover ourselves. And as you're going to see in an upcoming Breaking Down Proverbs video, the awesome thing I love about the live shows is you guys get early access to the stuff I'm going to be saying in future videos that aren't out yet. And so in one of the future Breaking Down Proverbs that'll probably be out either this weekend or next week, I talk about how who you are is not about discovery. Like, you're not on a journey to discover yourself. You are on a journey to create yourself, right? And there's a gentleman by the name of Thomas Saz who's quoted as saying that. That's the person I'm quoting in the proverb. But it's, you think you're on this journey to discover yourself. So every year you spend countless hours going through videos trying to watch more about your personality type and what does that mean, and my Hexaco score, and all those things are good. I part of tonight's video, when it comes to success and all of these different things, one of the pillars of that is self-awareness, right? But self-awareness is not something about discovery. It's about creating who you are. It's about becoming aware that you are who you say and who you think that you are, right? And once you establish that, and you do understand some of your psychological default settings, right? It's okay, now if I know this about myself, like for example, I am not a good administrative person, okay? Not a good paper pusher. I know that about myself. Right? And part of that is the story I've told myself. Could I get amazing at doing administrative work? Probably not, because I don't like it enough. But I could get decent at it, right? But knowing that about myself, I don't really focus a whole lot of energy at trying to make that amazing, because I have no interest in it, right? I'm really good at leading other people and helping other people, right? And coming up with, okay, like the guy that climbs the tree and looks at, okay, we're trying to get to this point, and yelling back down to the guys, we're going the wrong way. We need to head this way through the woods to get to where we're going. Right? Kind of like that Pathfinder mentality. And so knowing what I'm good at and being self-aware of the person that I've created, me, I can now employ that towards whatever my goals are. right? And so when you're going through life and you know that you want to have this huge contribution to something greater than yourself, and huge is relative to the individual, right? Some of you want to be musicians, and I coach a lot of people. So if you're new to what I do here, you may not be aware of the fact that I do one-on-one group coaching, and I do coaching for marketing for small businesses, entrepreneurs, and entertainers, right? And so many of the people that I coach, especially the entertainers, get in their mind that, I want to contribute to the world, and I know that my entertainment isn't really contributing in a great way, and I always have to stop them and say, wait a minute, let me go back through what you just said. You just said that because what you're doing is entertainment, it's not as important as what I do, which is about equipping people with the knowledge and the skills and the abilities to go out and take command of their lives. You're saying what you're doing is not as important as what I'm doing. Well, yeah, I'm not like you or, aspiring to be Tony Robbins. I just want to make people laugh. And then I have to take them back to, okay, make people laugh. George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Dave Chappelle, Robin Williams, may he rest in peace, Jim Carrey. All of these people who have brought so much joy to all of our lives in different ways, why would we say what they do is less important than, say, what Billy Graham or Tony Robbins does, right? Because you still get a similar outcome. Granted, from the comedians that I named, they may not have been giving you great life advice, although I'd argue Richard Pryor's stand-ups are great life advice about what not to do, right? But he also talks in very humorous but heart-wrenching ways about the injustice that's done to people socioeconomically, right? To the point where I've seen him do shows on stage, not live, but watching the videos, where like he's telling a joke about some stuff he went through, and I'm looking at his face like, I don't think that was a joke, right? So you can't discount that. Like, entertainment is the number one drug on the planet, period. And so it's one of the most lucrative exports that America has to other countries is entertainment. And so for us to downplay, like, you guys will often hear me say entertainment is overrated, and I do believe that, because I think, especially for Americans at least, we spend too much time focusing on it. Jocko Willink said that on his podcast number 100 with Tim Ferriss, going through the book Musashi. And he was like, I'm not saying I'm against dancing or having fun. He's like, but I think a lot of people are dancing their life away instead of focusing on the things that they need to focus on and giving entertainment its proper place. Like, I started this video by asking, did you guys go see Star Wars yet? This is a movie that millions of people are fired up to see, right? I'm kind of indifferent, and I was somewhat put off by episode 7 to the point where I don't really like any of the characters. And, I think some of us, we consume movies for different reasons. Like, my wife just loves going to the movies because she loves the experience, and she loves just the experience of the movie. Oh, it was great, it was fun. And I'm way more cerebral when I approach things that I watch. So I want to connect with the characters kind of logically and emotionally, and I want there to be some pragmatism in the storytelling where I can believe, not that laser guns are real, but I can believe that this character is a person that I'm connected to and I care about their outcomes. With the new Star Wars, now granted, I haven't seen episode 8 yet, so maybe if and when I get to see it, my opinion will change, but 7 really kind of left a bad taste in my mouth with the characters. I thought they were very poorly written, and so I think the actors did a great job, all of them, even for, like, Finn was probably my least liked character, but I think John Boyega did a great job playing Finn, if that makes any sense, right? But the point there is that movie is giving people so much joy. Why would I say it's not important? Because it's not like life-changing life advice. Because frankly, here's the deal. Some of the things that I teach and some of the things that I coach on, believe it or not, came from entertainment. My vocabulary, for example, people often comment on, you have such a vast vocabulary. Got it from video games. Uh-oh, America. I thought video games were rotting kids' brains. Nope. Most of my vocabulary comes from the video games I played in my early days of childhood into my teens. So I'm not going to sit here. And after my dad passed away in June, I consumed a lot more entertainment than I usually do, just because I needed an escape. Like, I couldn't be working 18 hours a day every day when I'm going through anxiety and pain and joy at the same. Like, I'm dealing with all these emotions all at once. I couldn't be 100% focused on my work. So I needed those outlets. So I went, and some of the entertainment I watched was just flat out dumb, but it was just fun to consume it, right? So I take that slight tangent, that slight detour in the discussion to say, if you're the purpose-driven person, and if you're following me, there's a good chance that you are, or at least you aspire to be. And if that's you, don't fall into this trap. If you're an entertainer and you feel like that's what God created you to be, don't fall into this trap that your entertainment is any less important than me trying to change the way the world thinks, because entertainers have always had a hand in shaping the way people think. Maybe more so than the coaches and the teachers of the world like us, right? I think that's a reality that is at least worth investigating, right? And Alton Brown, if you watch that brief series I kind of experimented with and then shut down on my YouTube channel called, what did I call it? The Millionaire Mentor series, where Alton Brown talked about, he always felt like if he can make people laugh, if he could entertain people, he could infect them with knowledge. And Alton Brown is one of the masters of it. I don't think he gets as much credit as he deserves for what he was able to do with a cooking show. Like, I don't like cooking. Let me just put this in perspective. I hate cooking, right? I don't understand people that, I empathize and I get it, but I don't understand people that enjoy cooking. Like my wife, it's so therapeutic. Like, what? Ugh, no thank you. Like laying out the pans and getting the ingredients and chopping them, ain't nothing therapeutic about that to me. It's tedious. I'm not saying I'm right. That's just my experience, right? He took one of my most hated activities and turned it into a show that I couldn't stop watching. And it was because he understood that if I can entertain you, I can infect you with knowledge. And I am a person, no BS, that gets entertained when somebody is pumping me full of information I feel like is making me smarter or making me stronger. I am entertained. I can sit and listen to a coaching podcast for 3 hours because I feel like I'm getting empowered, and that gets my attention, right? Or someone who can tell an insanely good story. He made me watch a cooking show. Again, an activity that I never do in my real life because I hate it, right? But I watched it, and I watched it because of what he said. If I can entertain a person, I can infect them with knowledge. So instead of just trying to teach, he's infecting people with the knowledge by making something funny or making something inspiring. A lot of the reason why I film outside of my house, other than my children scream all the time, even now when they should be sleeping at 11 o'clock at night, is I want you all to have, if I'm talking about a subject where I'm trying to bring comfort or trying to bring knowledge or trying to bring something that's going to inspire you, I also want there to be a level of serenity in the video. So like when I film out by that park that I film in, where I literally stand, I don't know if you guys realize this, some behind the scenes stuff. I need to do some Snapchat stuff where I show you guys behind the scenes. If you're not following me on Snapchat, definitely do that, because other than the freestyle raps that I do that you're totally missing out on back from my being an entertainer days, I'm going to start doing some behind the scenes stuff on Snapchat where I show you when I film at that park, I'm actually standing in the creek. So if you can hear the water in the background that's running, I'm standing literally in it. Well, I'm standing on rocks on top of it, but I am in the stream when I'm filming, literally, right? And that's why if you look closely behind me and you can see the stream kind of weaving behind me when I'm there, I'm standing in the middle of it. And that running water, the birds chirping, it's a way for me. It's not on accident, and it's not just because it's beautiful. That is part of it. But it's to bring a level of serenity to you. If you notice, my videos aren't, hey, good morning. Like, a lot of YouTube stuff's very hyper. My stuff is purposefully subdued, and I'm not a very subdued personality. I'm loud. I'm like a bull in a china shop, right? I can be very energetic and emotional when it comes to just presenting myself, especially if it's something that I am fired up about. But if you notice, a lot of my videos are purposefully subdued, because I respect the fact that, as most of the people who watch my channel are over the age of 25, they probably aren't watching it to just pass time. There's a reason why they're here. And so there's enough content screaming at you all day, every day, or bringing you negative information. But I'm infecting you with peace on purpose. I'm not screaming and hollering at you. And the music I choose is very ambient, because I want you to be in a state of serenity when you're hearing what I have to say. Because if it's chaos and it's just craziness and it's me screaming all over the place, which might be funny at different times, it's not going to help me get the information into your brain where it can stick, right? So anyway, going back to the original point, when you are purpose-driven, one of the biggest challenges you're going to face is knowing in your heart of hearts that you are doing the right thing. And I'm going to put the right thing in quotes, okay? Because I think sometimes, especially when I work with people of faith, they're under this notion that God created me to do a very specific thing, and I feel like I'm not doing it. And that puts you in a state of depression. Nobody that believes in God wants to think that they're doing wrong by him. And I think we live in a world where so much unnecessary pressure is put on us, even if, a place like church that's supposed to bring you serenity and peace sometimes can put anxiety on you, because they're putting these demands on you that God isn't necessarily putting on you. Like, God, what college should I go to? And what should I study? And all fine questions to pray about, but I think it misses the point that God has given us a certain level of agency, proven by the fact that we have free will. Like, if he wanted us to do the exact specific thing that's just laid out for us, then he probably wouldn't have allowed us to make choices, right? But it says that God is not a respecter of persons, but he is a respecter of faith. And making a decision in faith means that he's going to honor that, right? Assuming that the decision is not to go murder somebody or do something ridiculous, right? But the point here is, whether you believe in God or not is not the point. It's understanding that it's about the journey that you're on, not always about the destination. And so you're struggling with, am I doing the right thing? Well, if let's say, for example, you're 15 and you're asking yourself that question. You haven't tasted enough of life to even know what you like. And why would you come to believe that if God created you and he said things like, I created you for glory, and I'm going to take you from faith to faith and glory to glory, and that a house is built on wisdom, and a house is built on knowledge, and it's established on wisdom, and there's all kinds of precious and awesome riches in a house where wisdom is exercised, right? If all these good things and these prosperous things are supposed to be happening, like, do you really think you're going to have a draw to go do something that you hate? Right? I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. Well, ask yourself at 15, do you like what you're doing? No, I hate it. Well, that's probably a good sign, because people get in this mindset that the universe or God this is God teaching me how to, okay, so let me get this right. He's teaching you how to be good at what he wants you to be good at by making you do something that you literally hate doing. And you're just going to live out your existence miserable. But I'm doing it for the Lord, brother. No, you're not. Come on. I love the way Denzel Washington puts it, when he's like, if there's a desire for something in your heart that's good, it's God's proof to you that he's already given it to you. So, and again, it's not about, because I know some people that follow me are agnostic or atheists. It's not about me trying to convince you of some, spiritual thing. It's just take the pressure off of yourself, because as purpose-driven people, we kind of have it beat into us, sometimes by other people, most of the time by ourselves, that we have to be doing, I need to know what I'm doing with my life, right? But if you're young or even if you're older, you may not fully understand what it is you want to do or be, right? This is something that to this day I'm still working with my mother on, right? She's getting to the point in her life where she's going to be retired, and I'm trying to help prepare her for what's next. And she's like, I don't know. She's still discovering that, even as an older person, right? So if you're not my mom, meaning you're much younger, how do you expect to have everything figured out? And the way you figure it out, honestly, is by experimentation. It's by trying things, right? It's by tasting things and going out and seeing. Oh, and the experimentation allows you to see not only what you like, but what you're good at. Because there's a really interesting correlation between if I'm really awesome at something to the point where I get praised for it on a regular basis, pretty big chance I'm going to end up liking that thing. I don't like salsa dancing. Not because it's not fun, because I suck at it. For whatever reason, that half step you have to do on the 2 beat messes me up every time. Especially as a performer, I'm used to dancing on the 2 and the 4, right? So it's like the joy that you get from doing something that you're really, really good at. That's a signal to you that maybe this is a thing that I should continue to go after. And so what this all comes down to is one of the things that I really work to help people with. And this is especially true in my one-on-one coaching program. Right? So we just, for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about when I'm talking about coaching, we just finished up our first session of one-on-one group coaching where basically people come on live calls with me, not like this, because you all can't talk to me. You're just listening and then writing comments over here on YouTube and on Facebook. But literally people come on a call with me where we're talking and I'm walking them through this very specific curriculum of things that's helping them do the discovery and the creation necessary to understand what they should be doing with their lives. Not me telling you what you should be doing, because that's what a lot of people ask. That's not my place to do that. But helping you flesh out what you're supposed to be doing and then doing the necessary experimentation to make sure that's true and the necessary personal development to be great at it and go out and crush it, right? And so understanding, having that foundation of self-awareness is going to help you know and help you not struggle with what should I be doing with my life. Well, if you don't know, go try it. Like some of the advice I gave, we had someone that came through our first session. We had a young guy that came through our first session who, he's not even in his 20s yet, and he's got a lot of stuff figured out. But what I told him was still go out and try things because you're still so young. When I was 12, I thought for sure I was going to be a professional skateboarder. I just knew it until, I know you've heard the story before, until my friend Mike Slifka came over. Oh, I'm sorry. Mike, was it Slifka? There's 2 Mikes. I think it was Slifka. Yeah. Pretty sure it was Mike Slifka. Comes over and he does a kickflip. And that was it. I was like, well, I literally went and sold my skateboard the next day. It was like, that. I'm never doing a kickflip. Like, nope, I'll just go play football. Right? So I was convinced at 12, 13, I'm going to be a professional skater. I'm going to be Tony Hawk. Right? I couldn't skate on a ramp to save my life. And I could barely do an ollie. And so, being a younger person, you still got to go out and try a couple other things and really, really know that this is what you want to do. And here's the beautiful thing. I had another person come through my marketing. So I have a marketing coaching program where I help people build their brands on or build their businesses or their personal brands on social media. Right? And I had a girl come through who was convinced I'm going to do these vlogs and these videos on YouTube, and this is what I'm going to do. And so I had some one-on-one interaction with her off of our normal calls. She had sent me some emails like, hey, I'm really struggling. Can you help me? And so I was just walking her through, read this book. So I was giving her some additional advice. And when she finished doing everything I suggested to her, she came back. She's like, and for extra context, because this is kind of important, she was on a payment plan in the program, right, to be able to afford it. And so I think she was 2 months into a 4-month payment arrangement. And she comes in like right before her payment's due in month 3. She's like, I hate to do this, And I was like, what's the problem? She's like, I need to quit the program. I said, okay, why? What's up? And, I don't ever stop anybody from quitting. I'm not going to make you keep giving me money. Because my first thought was, ooh, she's not getting what she doesn't think she's getting what she paid for. And so I'm definitely not going to keep taking money if that's the case. But as it turned out, she was like, no. This has been great because what you've helped me realize is I'm in the wrong place. You've helped me take the journey to realize that I'm not doing the right thing. She's like, and I can't thank you enough, but I don't want to stay in this program because I don't want to continue building my brand on YouTube. I want to do this other thing that doesn't have really anything to do with what you're coaching. She's like, so can I be released from the payment agreement? And how do I already have a hole? I just bought these socks last night and they already have a hole in them. It's ridiculous. And she said, and you can hear one of my children screaming. This is why I film outside, people. Because of them, because they're just crazy. But she's like, yeah, I feel bad because, I had this agreement and you made a deal with me where I could afford it. I said, listen, if you going through whatever you got through in my program helps you realize that you're not in the right place, then that's the purpose of what I'm doing. Like my goal with my coaching program on social media is not to help you get to 1 million followers. Because that's an outcome, right? That's the outcome of the purpose of the program. The purpose of the program is to help you. Matter of fact, I think Tony Robbins says it best. The purpose of a goal is not to achieve the goal. The purpose is who we become to achieve it. What you get will never make you happy, but who you become is where your happiness is, right? So what I was telling her was, if you went through my program and you realize I'm in the wrong place and I need to go do something else, then the purpose of this program has been fulfilled, right? And so she had to go through some experience and try some things to get to the end state, which was I'm in the wrong place. But she didn't start with the thesis I'm in the wrong place. She started with I have an idea and I'm going to give this a shot. And I think what some of us want is God or the universe to just sit down with us and say, okay, here's the plan. Step 1, go to Harvard. Step 2, you're going to study computer science. Step 3, you're going to take class with Dr. Morrell, and he's going to teach you about Python programming, and then you're going to become the world's best. Like, life doesn't work that way. And unfortunately, because one of our human needs, and let me help you understand, the reason why you look for that in your prayer life, or if you're a universe person, or you just want to know these things, you're looking for a very basic human need, which is certainty. Okay, and we all have that. But the certainty needs to be in the macro and the big picture, not in the individual little details of the plan of your life. And so it's important to go out and taste a bunch of different things to know. You're not going to know if you're doing the right thing until you've tried some things and you've spent some time with it. Because as much as I didn't want any part of going into the Army, because I wanted to be a professional football player, and even being a professional football player wasn't a huge dream. It was just something I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just know I loved hitting people very hard. That was fun. But the military gave me like football on crack, right? I didn't know it was going to do that. And I had to go to war to have that experience. I was terrified to go to war. I didn't necessarily want to go to war. Who actually wants to go get shot at, until you do go and get shot at and you realize, man, this is the most adrenaline-filled experience I've ever had in my life. This is awesome in, retrospect. So when we talk about the shortcuts, going back to the clickbait title, right? You got to understand that the only real shortcut is what I say about Sun Tzu all the time, is it's self-awareness and then being aware of what it is, or the problem you're trying to solve. And the problem is the big picture, not I want to specifically help 3-year-old babies who have this issue. Like, what's the bigger goal that you have, the thing that you want to accomplish? Maybe it's something as simple as helping people, but you don't know how to flesh that out. That's what a lot of my programs are designed to do. That most of you do know deep down inside what you want to do. You just don't know how to get it all to the surface so that you can hone in on the specifics of it and actually take action toward it and experiment with some things that work, some things that don't, and make the necessary adjustments. That's honestly what a lot of my programs, whether it's my social media marketing coaching or my one-on-one personal and professional development coaching. I call it the peak performance foundational coaching, because the one-on-one group coaching that I'm doing right now is totally focused on that Sun Tzu philosophy. It's helping you build self-awareness, helping you build awareness of the problem you want to solve, and then fleshing it out so you can have that foundation and know by the end of the course, this is what I'm moving out to go do. And now I have the knowledge and the skills, and you're going to develop the skills over time, but I'm going to show you how to start developing those skills, which most of it starts up here. It's mindset, right? And once you have the right mindset, which is what our program is insanely focused on, once you have that right mindset, then the rest becomes easy. The rest is just execution and repetition and practice, right? It's building the mindset first that you can go out and do this thing, and then I've focused heavily on the self-awareness, but then how do you overcome because rest assured, if you're a purpose-driven person, you're going to experience hurdles. You're going to experience resistance. Things are going to try to stop you. It's inevitable. And I show you how to frame those problems the right way so that you actually use those problems as the fuel to help you get to where you're trying to go, not as a brick wall that stops you from getting there. Felix says, how do I get into your program? So I will give way more details at the end of the talk. But just to let you know, we have a program open in January. We still have some slots open. For the social media Ninja Academy is always open, right? In fact, that's 50% off right now through the holiday, through Christmas, and then that's going to go back to its regular price of $9.97. Right now it's $4.97, so it's half off. And then I did a deal with the people in the program that if they joined the VIP program, I would waive the price of the $4.97. But I think you're more asking about my one-on-one coaching program, and our next session is going to start up most likely January 7th. I've got some other family things going on, so we may have to adjust 1 or 2 days. But we're still it's still open for registration. I keep the groups very small so that I can effectively coach. I believe that a leader is most effective when the leader can actually touch every soul that he's working with, or she is working with. And so I keep the groups to 15 or less. So we do still have a couple of slots open for the January session if you want to get in. At the end of the call, I'll give you more details. I can walk you through any questions you have. But Stephen, I think Stephen's on the call. Stephen, if you would, please, can you post the link? And you know what? YouTube's going to break the link. Let me check something real quick, because I believe I have the link in the description of this video. So yeah, if you go to the description of this video, if I type it in the comments, YouTube's going to screw it up because I don't monetize my channel, so YouTube doesn't want me directing traffic anywhere else. But if you go into the description of the video where it says get coaching directly from me, that first one you see that says one-on-one peak performance coaching, that is where you can go and register and get more information. And you will also have my full attention when I'm finished blabbering here tonight to ask questions. So if you have other questions you want to ask me about it, I'll answer them here on the call. But going back to the topic, all of that, when it comes to success, it all starts with self-awareness, okay? And the real shortcut is understanding the you in the equation, right? And then understanding, and then spending time figuring out what it is you want to do. And then once you figure it out, right? Once I figured out that my life's purpose is to help each and every one of you get command of your life so that you can live a life that when you get to the end of your road, you can look back and say, I did it the way I wanted it done. Or, if you're a faith person, I did it the way God wanted it done. And I enjoyed every step of the ride. Right? And most people don't live there. Most people live in, you have to get up in the morning to go do something you don't want to do so that you can have a little bit of time on the weekends to go do what you do want to do. Right? And you guys hear me talk about working 18 hours a day. And to some of you, that sounds miserable. But it's not. I'm spending a large portion of my day developing other human souls and helping people legitimately. Right? I was in the middle of my workout and I got a call from a client tonight who was having an issue with something we were working on together, and I was able to walk him through. here's the problem with this, and here's the problem with this. And then he filled in some blanks with me. He was like, hey, I got my analytics person looking at these ads we ran, and it's all this. And I was like, that's great. That's the exact data I need. I can make the adjustment on my end. We should be able to address that issue like that. And he's like, okay, great. And so he felt confident at the end of the call, because he came into the call a little bit worried, like, I'm spending money. Is it going to the right place? And I'm like, yep, what we're spending the money on is working, but there's a break in the system somewhere, and we have to find out where that break is, because the ad dollars we're spending are doing exactly what they're supposed to do, but they're only getting the customer this far in the purchasing process, and then the customer's not purchasing. So the ads are effective because it got a person who wanted to make a purchase to the place to make the purchase, but they didn't actually buy. So one of two things is at play. We're either sending the wrong customers, which was part of it with the analytics, or when they get there to buy, the experience isn't like Amazon, where it's like click a button and the thing shows up at my house in 45 minutes, right? So we were able to work through that, and then he left the call like, okay, cool, yeah, I think we've got a good plan. I was happy to take that phone call. Like, I enjoy that part of what I do, right? Being able, I'm doing marketing and advertising for a company. That doesn't sound fun, but this dude's feeding his kids. Right? He has dreams too. Like, my clients have dreams just like everybody else, just like me. Like, I'm not looking at it like I'm running ads for a retailer. I'm looking at it as every time I help him get more sales, he's able to better take care of his family. That's part of my mission, right? To reach 1 billion people with life-changing information that helps you take command of your life and live the best life you possibly can. And by the way, enjoy the ride. Like, that's really at the heart of it, is I want you all to enjoy the ride. I've been in a lot of places where I didn't enjoy the ride at all. And 99% of that, believe it or not, kind of pro tip for you here tonight, 99% of me not enjoying the ride was right here. It wasn't the ride. It wasn't the circumstances. It wasn't the job or a crazy boss, which I've been fortunate in my life. I'd say out of every boss I've ever had, only 2 of them were not so great. Everybody else was pretty much squared away, right? But it was here. Like, it's not the problems. It's not my circumstances that are depressing me. It's the story I tell myself in the midst of those circumstances that makes you miserable and depressed, right? For most people, I understand that depression goes a little bit deeper than that for some. But for most, what we're calling depression, whether or not you have depression, could be debated. But it's also, it's self-induced, because we're telling ourselves that this is horrible. And is it? Is it? Because there's other ways we can look at it, and we can develop gratitude and a lot of things that, again, going back to Felix's question, it's a lot of what I address in the coaching program is, if you're approaching life with the wrong mindset, I can hand you $1 billion tonight. You'll be happy for about a month. And there's science, there's psychological studies that have proven this. I can hand you $1 billion tonight. You're going to be happy. If you're not already a happy person with proper mindsets, you will be happy for about a month, because it will be exciting to be able to buy everything you ever dreamed of and take all these vacations. About a month later, you're going to be like, I wish I had $2 billion. Because if I had $2 billion, then I could buy the Redskins. Or, I could buy a basketball team, and then I could hang out with Beyonce and Jay-Z. Like, it's called the contrast bias. It's one of the cognitive tendencies that our brain has to, and like Tony Robbins talks about that too. The reason why the purpose of a goal is not to achieve the goal, because once you achieve the goal, then the goal becomes the norm. And then you have to set new, like, I'm always setting new goals, always. When I achieve a goal, I'm on to the next thing, right? And sometimes it looks like I'm all over the place, but it's because I'm accomplishing something, and then I have to keep my head in the game. Because if I don't stay in the game, and I don't stay, I can't be the go play softball after work guy. It's just not me. Like, just go to happy hour after work, have a few drinks, and then come home, and that's my life. Like, I can't. I don't begrudge anybody that lives that way. I think that's fine if that's working for you. That won't work for me. I need the struggle. I need to come find people in the trenches of life and just jump in there with you with my rifle and say, hey, I got your 6. Let's go. By the way, I know the way out of this trench. So follow me. right? That's what I am built for. And if I'm not doing that, then, it's like Tony Robbins says, you ain't growing, you're dying. If I'm not doing that, I'm dying. And I look at that literally. If I'm not helping other people, I am dying. And that keeps my head in the game when I'm tired. When people are always like, how do you stay motivated? Like, dude, I don't stay motivated. I stay in great, strong desire. And I did a video, I don't know if any of you saw the video, a video called Desire is Greater Than Motivation. Because if a bear is chasing you, you may not have a ton of motivation to go for a run, but I guarantee you, if I have a pet grizzly bear and I come to your house when I see you walking down the street and I let the bear go and say, hey, there's a bear chasing you, bet you're going to have the best run of your life. The best run you've ever had. And it wasn't because you were motivated. It was because, you know what? I've got better things to do today than die, so let me go ahead and attempt to survive this situation. Right? And so desire is greater than motivation, and desire keeps you motivated when you are not. There are times when I am working, whether it's at the gym or I'm working on client stuff, or I'm doing the administrative things that I hate doing. I'm not motivated to do that. I want to accomplish something, so I have to stay in the game. I'll give you a perfect real life example. I was tired before I came on this call, and for a half second, I was like, you know what? I could just go to bed. Nobody responded to the Facebook message anyway that I was going to be broadcasting tonight, so maybe no one will miss me. But then, over 100 of you that'll be on this call live, and then the potential thousands that'll watch it after the fact would have missed out. So I wasn't motivated to come on the call, but I desired to impart something to somebody somewhere that's going to bless their lives. So that's what keeps me in the fight when I'm tired. So just remember, the truth is there are no real shortcuts other than just doing it the right way. You probably heard the proverb that says, it's funny that there's never time to do it right, but there's always time to do it over. And so it's one of those things where if you understand how to properly set your compass to where you're supposed to be going, and going back to the original statement with the debate that I had with my mentor, that there are no shortcuts. Yeah, there's no way for me to go from benching 135 pounds to being able to bench, for me, it was 400 and some odd pounds a number of times. That didn't happen in 2 days. Right? There was no shortcut. I had to go through the process of lifting for a year. Actually, it was 18 months, but really the last 6 months was all that mattered because I did it wrong for a year up to the 6 months when I actually went out and got some mentors online to teach me how to lift properly. And so that last 6 months was what it took to get me to that place. There was no shortcut. But the shortcut was it only took me 6 months instead of taking me 7 years to maybe not accomplish it because I wasn't willing to go learn from people that already knew how to do it, right? I had to develop some humility to say, maybe I'm not doing it right. Let's go see what some people who have PhDs in this stuff have to say, right? And then that accelerated my growth, not overnight though. I still had to go through the process. But I had to respect the process. But the process was much shorter than if I had kept trying to do it on my own. That, my friends, is why I offer coaching, right? I offer live, free. I have an entire coaching program that's completely free on the front of my YouTube page, right? That's a coaching program that people I know charge thousands of dollars for. Why? Because I've paid for some of them, okay? And most of what I'm coaching you on isn't stuff that I'm necessarily learning from these other people. It's what I'm learning in my own life, from my own experiences, and from my mentors, right? But the reason why I do those things is because I know for a fact that there's people out there that need that information. And me coming into your life, whether it's one of my paid programs or the free stuff, the shortcut is me. I am helping you do the straight line distance to where you want to go instead of running around the woods lost for the next 10 years. And that's all of us. Like, I'm not special. I'm not supremely intelligent, right? I am smart enough to know that I'm dumb enough to need to ask for help and to read books. And why my library is full of books is not so it looks cool on YouTube. I actually read this stuff. And it's because I understand that I'm not going to figure this out on my own. I'm not Gary Vaynerchuk. Allegedly he figures out everything on his own. I'm not him, man. I got to read some books, G. Like, sorry, I don't have that talent that he has, and I'm not going to pretend that I do, right? And so I become the shortcut because I keep you from being lost in the woods trying to figure it all out, right? There's nothing in my program that you're going to hear that's going to be like, oh my God, that no one's ever said that before. No, I'm going to show you how to take what a lot of wise people, smarter people than me have said, and put it into a system and a process that you can execute on. Because I think when people come into my one-on-one coaching program, they think it's just like this. And no, you got work to do. That first week, you're going to spend, I say the program is 2 hours a week, but if you really do your homework, the program could be 5 hours a week, right? And granted, it's a self-paced thing, so you could do 10 minutes a week if you wanted to and just spread it out. But if you did everything I prescribed for you to do, you're going to spend, at least 2 hours with me, and then you're going to have hours of other work where you need to really spend some time writing and figuring out where you're going and what you're doing. So, but that's the reason why I do that, is because I've had people take me through the woods and get to these locations, and now I'm just leaving the trail of breadcrumbs. That's what the coaching is, man. Here's the breadcrumbs, yo, and sometimes I'll come back and grab you like, hey, did you see the breadcrumbs, yo? Because come on, stop it. Let's go. Right. So anyway, with that said, let's take some questions. Facebook, I see Dino's here. As soon as you step on the path, you will meet resistance 100% of the time, bruh. Better believe that. Let's see. All right. Who do we have here? Kimberly Kristen says, yay, I am here. What's up? Diamond Tree says he's good. Claudia says, hello, Claudia. Felix says, what was your career field? So I've had a number of careers. I was an Army officer for a while. I was a senior manager in a Fortune 500 company, basically running the arm of a billionaire's, but I wasn't running his entire business. He was running his business. I was running a piece of his business operation, and then starting my own business and stuff like that. Let's see. 09 says, hey guys. Anna says, Texas in the house. What's good, Bryant? Life is good, man. Or milady. Hopefully you guys don't mind that I call everybody guys and man. It has nothing to do with your gender, by the way. It's just a pronoun I use to delineate people that I'm speaking to. Let's see. Felix says, also, have all those books attributed to your understanding of success and how you've executed? Yes, 100%. Like you guys only see what's on my bookshelf. You don't see that every day I walk around with, let's see, how many books are in my bag today? One. This is the Little Red Book of Selling. Scott Galloway's awesome book. Been talking to him on Twitter recently. If you want to get some interesting information about Bitcoin, follow this guy. This is a gift my boy gave me. Crucial Conversations. The Conversion Code, right? What are we up to? 4 books. Zealot. It's a historical account of Jesus Christ. Marcus Aurelius Meditations. On my quest to become a Stoic sage. Get a little taste of that, usually every couple of days, or maybe every day, depending on what I'm feeling. All right, and I know there's more in here. Tony Robbins, Limited Power. Dude, it's just, I bought this book called The Ex-Con Voodoo Priest, Goddess, and the African King by William Jones. I actually met him, and he autographed my book for me. He was doing a book signing, and I went to check him out, and I still owe him an Instagram shout-out, which I haven't done yet. I am going to make good on that. So I got books everywhere, man. I got to stay smart. I've got to always be learning, which you should, when people join my company, one of the things they see when they get invited to the private Facebook group is the first thing there is the mission of the company, the vision, how I built it, and then it's our core values. It starts with we are Stoics, which, if you understand Stoic philosophy, it's people that live in accordance with the way they feel the world should be, right? So I believe the world should be a utopia. So I try every day to get better at living the way I would need to live to create the utopia, and then hopefully encouraging other people to do the same. It's part of the reason why I do this stuff, right? And then I say we are experts. In other words, no one's ever going to get better at us at what we do, period, right? And then we're perpetual learners, right? Meaning you wouldn't hire a doctor that's not keeping up with medicine. And so in our fields, whether it's coaching or psychology or marketing, I'm always keeping up. We are always keeping up with what's hot, what's new, what's cutting edge. That's working, not just what's cutting edge for the sake of newness, right? And then last, we are servants, right? A leader is a servant to those he or she leads, period. And so that's that. That's why we do what we do, man. But it's why the point was that's why I'm always reading, is because I'm living up to the values of my company. And the values, my company is really just an extension of me, right? It's the way I want to live. Dusty says, Dusty Y Stud, or YT Sud. It's funny. It's a palindrome. Hey, Bryant, I took the personality test 6 months ago, and I was an INFP. And took the test again today, twice on different sites, and I'm an ENSP. Can personality change? So there's no such thing as an ENSP, but I imagine you're saying ENFP. Can personality change? Yes, but Myers-Briggs is also notorious. This is the reason why I don't swear by the Myers-Briggs, even though I make a ton of video content about it. In fact, I've started to use Myers-Briggs videos as clickbait to get you all to listen to other things, right? But not in a malicious way, yeah, here's the answer to your question, but there's all this other stuff you should know too. Myers-Briggs is notorious for, I think, at least 50% of people who take the test differently when they retest. So it's just the flaw in the test. But the chances are with you're probably on the line between being an introvert and an extrovert, is what it looks like to me. And that just means that you don't have a strong preference for either. And I've always thought the introvert, extrovert, and the judger, perceiver part of the Myers-Briggs test was kind of squishy compared to what Dr. Jung was doing with sensing and intuition being how we process information, and then thinking and feeling being how we make decisions. So I would not sweat that too heavily. But check out the cognitive functions for both the introvert and the extrovert. See which one you think fits you better. Let's see. Because, yeah, I mean, the test is really just, it's trying to measure, I'll say, I don't know that it's all that accurate. It's trying to measure how your brain works, how it functions, how it processes information, and how you go through the process of making decisions, for the most part. And then the extroversion, introversion is measuring your energy, and, are you open to new experiences, or are you more like, I want status quo, I want things to be the same all the time, stuff like that. Let's see. R Webb says, I feel like I've been put in this dude's life I worked. I think he didn't finish his sentence there. Melanie says, a journey to create yourself, not discover yourself. I love that. Yeah. I wish I could take credit for that. That's why I read so much, because I'm not smart enough to come up with that on my own. Let's see. Felix says, Bryant, have you even seen traits that you wanted, so you put yourself in certain situations to acquire those traits? Absolutely. So I knew that in order to get along on this planet, I would have to develop part of my decision-making process to at least mimic what extroverted feelers do, especially as a person who works in marketing and sales. You have to understand the mind of your customer and the needs of your customer, and be able to communicate with them in a way that they feel is their language. And that requires a lot of empathy, something that, not that my personality type lacks empathy, but the way we deliver empathy is quite a bit different than most people expect it. Okay? So I have had to develop behaviors that mimic a personality type that I don't have. So 100%. Now, does that mean I'm rewiring myself to be an extroverted feeler? I have no idea. But it's more along the lines of I can develop the behaviors by just modeling extroverted feelers. My wife is an extroverted feeler, so I watch her do things. I'm like, okay, people love my wife. She's amazing to everybody. And I'm like, if I just act like her, I can get the same results. Even if it's not, my default setting isn't that, I can still override my defaults and behave the way that she does. And some people will say, well, that's not being your true self. I mean, my true self is whatever I decide my true self is now, in the moment, right? When I first saw Star Wars Episode 1, I thought it was dope for 8 minutes. And then I spent 20 minutes thinking about it and thought it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Am I being inauthentic or a hypocrite? Maybe. But I felt one way then, I feel a different way now. Rebecca says that her boyfriend went to see Star Wars Episode 8, but she doesn't care for it. I'm kind of like, I was disappointed with a lot of the stuff that Episode 7 did. I don't hate Episode 7. I didn't think it was the worst thing I've ever seen. It's certainly better than the prequels. A lot of what I heard about 8, like I read everything that happens in 8, because I'm not a, oh my God, it's a spoiler. Like, the movies I don't want spoiled are not Star Wars, because I feel like I know what's coming, at least in the macro. Like I don't know every little minor thing that's going to happen, but it's Star Wars. I have an idea of how this is going to go down, especially that Disney is producing it. So like I'm not going into it like, oh my God, that's a spoiler. Like I don't care. Especially because my connection to things that I watch it's all character driven, which is why I love Star Trek so much, because it's about the experiences of these characters in different scenarios and ethics and philosophy, stuff that I love consuming. Most people just want the experience, like, oh, that was a fun movie. Like, people would love The Matrix because of the violence and the action. You could have taken all of that out of the movie and it would still be my favorite. Just the dialogue in The Matrix, it would still be my favorite movie. And that's insane to most people. Like, what, you don't like the action? I didn't say I didn't like it. I just don't care. Like, what makes The Matrix awesome to me is the philosophy. Like, if you want me to get real nerdy on you, the scene Follow the Right White Rabbit in The Matrix, when he goes to get the book, to get the pirated software out and give it to the White Rabbit, dude, lady combination, the book that he takes the software out of is a book called Simulacra and Simulation by... Do I have my copy of that still? I know I do somewhere, yo. Hold on, we're gonna find it because we're gonna have this conversation. By God, do you hear me, internet? We're having this conversation whether you like it or not. I'm hijacking my own call to have a book conversation with you good people, and I know all NFL football stay on the shelf. I'm gonna start slapping people. Hold on. I know it's up here because I know I didn't get rid of it. This is an important book. Bookshelf, you are failing me right now. You're not helping me entertain my crowd, bookshelf. That's going to be a problem, because if people start tuning away from this video, I'm going to have a talk with them and you. Ha! Bam! Simulacra and Simulation by Jean Baudrillard. So when Neil goes to get the book, now his copy of it is obviously not the paperback. It's a giant hard copy book. And so he opens the book and it has a hole in it and he pulls out the pirated software. When you understand Simulacra and Simulation, which is a very hard book to read, by the way, I don't recommend it for everybody. You understand that when you know what a simulacra and a simulation is, the book is a simulacra, okay? The book itself, because it's not what it's representing itself as. He went and grabbed a book, but it's not a book. It's a storage device for pirated software. Pirated software is also a simulacra. So it's a simulacra within a simulacra within a simulacra, because they're in the Matrix when that happens, within a simulacra because you're watching, because you're watching a movie. Like, that type of ish, love it. That's why The Matrix is one of my favorite movies, because the writers took the time to think through those things. Now, Jean Baudrillard said that the Wachowski brothers, or I think it's brother and sister, now they effed up what he meant by the book. I don't care. That's fine. I understood what they were saying a lot better than what he says. even though he has some really profound points in that book as well. So that's me with movies, is I need to be cerebrally and emotionally connected to what's happening. If it's just an action movie, I don't really do action movies. They're not my thing. Every once in a while I can watch a just for fun movie that doesn't try to be any like great narrative storytelling. Like it's just, we want you to see this series of events. I can't do that with Star Wars. I was cerebrally and emotionally connected to all the characters, and the characters they have now don't do that for me. So that's the thing. But that's why The Matrix, this book is the reason why The Matrix is my favorite movie. It has nothing to do with the action or bullet time. I don't care about any of that. I cared about the way the story was told and the fact that the thesis of The Matrix is very true to the way I actually see the world. I feel like everybody is plugged into, figuratively speaking, a matrix, and they don't necessarily want to be unplugged because ignorance is bliss, like Cypher said. Right? Like you don't want to be unplugged to the truth because the truth is hard. The truth is the Nebuchadnezzar. It's eating tasty wheat on a metal cold ship and running for your life. That's the reality, right? But when you wake up to that, there's freedom in that. And then there's the ability to overcome it. And like Neo overcomes the system. But most people just submit themselves to the system and let the system beat the hell out of them for the next 50 to 90 years. And I refuse to live that way. That's why The Matrix is my favorite movie, not because of the action. So, I don't know how I got on that tangent, but there you have it. A 3-person says, I don't even watch movies anymore. I really don't watch a lot of movies either. Usually I'll go back and watch stuff I've already seen. But every once in a while, a movie will come out that'll get me to go to the theater. Like Tron, back in 2010, was really, really good. They did a really good job of carrying that story forward. I thought they did a really good job. It wasn't perfect. I think they could have handled Flynn's character a little bit better. But overall, I thought the movie was good. Felix asks a very interesting question. How do you really partition vanity from entertainment? Well, I do it by keeping entertainment in its proper place. Entertainment, if I can get spiritual on you for a second, just this is my take. There's a scripture that says, cast all your care on God because he cares for you. For me, entertainment is a practical way to do that. I am getting rid of my care and my need to control every little aspect of my life and my need to get rid of all my anxiety. It's like I'm going to put all of those emotions and thoughts on the shelf for 2 hours and enjoy Brian Regan telling me jokes that make me laugh. Because laughter, another proverb, laughter does, what is it? I don't want to butcher this scripture. I think it's laughter doeth good like a medicine. Laughter actually has very powerful physiological effects on you. So the entertainment is a vehicle for me to cast my cares away and to feel something that physiologically makes me more healthy. So is some entertainment vain? Of course it is. But I don't care. Like, as long as I keep entertainment, it's like, as long as entertainment isn't running my life, like, as long as I'm not living for entertainment, then a little bit of vanity ain't gonna hurt. Let's see. Steven says, I study movies and narrative storytelling so I can understand where you're coming from. Yeah, it's hard for me. Honestly, that's why I never understood the transition, and I'm talking to Steven and I go back to both being video game entertainers. You know, that was the thing I never understood, why people were so adamant about stories in video games. It's like most of the stories in video games suck. They just do. And it's not because the games have bad storytellers. It's because the development process of games is, hey, we have this new mechanic we want to try out, and we're going to build a game around this entire mechanic. Oh, and hey, storytellers, can you come over here and write a story? Like, matter of fact, that's what I think happened with Star Wars Episode 7. Was they just were like, yeah, we're going to have a couple of scenes in the X-Wing and a blah, 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 and write a story. Okay, good. Yeah, Finn, the guy that went on the Navy SEAL mission, oh, he's a janitor. And he doesn't like killing people, but then he's murdering all his friends after he gave a speech about how they were tortured and turned into stormtroopers. But then, okay, yeah, sure, I can believe that. Oh, man. Oh, I'm sorry. Pratyush says, isn't your wife ENFP? P. Let me answer this once and for all. This won't be the last time I have to answer this. No, she's an ENFJ. I misspoke on the video where I called her an ENFP. That caused a lot of confusion. I never went back and changed the title of the video because that would be ridiculous to title it ENFJ and then I'm talking about ENFP all the way through it. And that stemmed from a debate I had with her because I thought she was an ENFP and I was just wrong. So she just didn't correct me on the show because she's a very nice person who wasn't going to interrupt my flow on the show, although she probably should have. Dino says laughter heals the world. And Amber says, hey, Bryant, it's Amber Aron. Hey, how are you? Long time no see. It's been a while since I've been on. It has been a while, Amber. I feel neglected. Psych. I'm glad to have you here. I hope you're having a great Christmas and holiday season. Let's see here. Felix asks, am I an ENTJ? Yes, sir, I am. Ray, you should upload some bloopers as well when you start filming those. Dude, I have bloopers on my original channel. No one watched them. Like, I really wanted to do bloopers once a week or once a month. When I did them, nobody watched them. And one of the ones I did, I thought it was hilarious because I am the type of person when I'm working, I don't do this on camera because I don't want to scare people. When I am in my zone working, especially if I'm not, like if I'm in my home office, I bust out into random song. And that's in the blooper reel. Like I literally just bust out into, I'm trying to remember, what was I singing? I was singing something about getting my wife bucket naked or something. Like it was, my songs are always ridiculous and stupid and they're just funny. And because it's my thought process, it helps me get my brain churning sometimes. I'll just break out into random song. And so, you know, a lot of that stuff was in the video, but people just didn't really care. YouTube's a funny monster because it really centers around people subscribe to you, but if you're not making the content that YouTube kind of deems as your thing, your niche, a lot of times it's not going to promote it to all your viewers unless, you know, you're the type of viewer that's coming to my channel every day or going to your subscription feed and looking for me. It's not necessarily going to drop it into your inbox and say, hey, he launched a new thing. And you can, the easy way to test that is if I drop a video tonight about something about INFPs, I can guarantee, depending on what it is, I can have thousands of views in a number of, you know, days. But if I make a breaking down Proverbs video, 200 people watch it. Well, it's not because all 10,000 of you decided, well, I don't want to watch that crap. It's because you didn't see it. Like YouTube is like, well, all right, Bryant, we'll let a couple people see this, but whatever. Melanie says, when I come across a really hyper video with someone screaming and waving their arms, I click off immediately. I need peace. Yeah, and this is a kick that I've actually been on for about 2017. I've been on that kick for about 13 years. Before social media, I used to build web communities, right? So I've been in this game for a while. And one of them, I used to actually play music when you went to the website, and it was this awesome loop. I actually produced the song, and it was this awesome peaceful loop of kind of serene padded sounds and some like really soft string work, but kind of hip hop-ish, but just really mellow and smooth. And I remember one of the guys on the website was like, dude, I fall asleep to this song every night. And that was what I was going for. And that sounds weird. Like, why would you want to put people to sleep? It wasn't that I wanted to put people to sleep. I wanted to give people a place where they could detach and unplug and get a semblance of serenity in their space. And he's like, yeah, dude, I fall asleep to this song every night. I love this song. Thank you for doing that. Right? And that's kind of what I was going for. It's different because that's not what like I don't make stuff that plays on your psychology. Like I study some of the cartoons my kids like to watch, and I don't really let them watch them because I can count the seconds between when a frame is going to flip to a different camera shot or one of the characters is going to scream because they're trying to keep my 4-year-old's attention. And I'm like, I'm not going to subject my 4-year-old to that nonsense. It's a lot of the reason why a lot of the gaming content on YouTube is so out of control. Like, hey, blah, 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 like, because it's children watching it, and they've learned from studying cartoons and these other networks that to keep a child's attention, you have to constantly be flashing colors and light and noises to keep, like, if I try to get my son, my 4-year-old, to watch me, he's like, Daddy, you're boring. No, I won't watch this. But he'll watch his crazy cartoons all day, and I don't want to do that to children, but let alone I don't want to do that to adults. Even though I know it could work. Like, if I was doing all this stuff on the screen on one of my ads, it's going to get you to stop scrolling. But, dude, I'm not doing it. You know, like, I will do some skits and funny stuff to get attention, but I'm not going to play on your psychology to get you to buy a thing from me. It's just not the way I'm wired to do. Let's see. Amber says, let's go back to the Facebook, you're tripping. How is everyone since your dad passed, hun? You and your family have been in my prayers and on my mind. We've been doing pretty well. About as well as you can imagine for folks that have gone through, losing the patriarch of the family. It's very hard, but my family is very, very close. So when situations like that happen, my family comes together in a really powerful way. So been a lot of tears, a lot of sadness, but also a lot of joy, man. My dad, touched a lot of lives. And I mean, if you could have been at his burial, my God, was that beautiful. And so he was buried at Arlington Cemetery. And, oh my God, the whole ceremony was just, I could not thank the infantrymen that were there doing everything they did to honor my dad. It was gorgeous. Like, you're crying while it's happening, but it's such a beautiful, bittersweet event that I will never forget what those men did for my dad. It was such a blessing to watch and to hear, like, the chaplain as he was giving the eulogy. Like, he never knew my dad ever, right? But he was fighting back tears as he was talking about all of the things my dad accomplished as a soldier to fundamentally change the way the Army is today. He had a hand in it. He's not the only person that did it, but he had a hand in it. And it's, it's been tough, but it's been good. The tough is what makes us strong. And it just gives me more fuel to help more lives. And I think Dad's very proud of that. That we're using his passing as an opportunity to give, not as an opportunity to be selfish and take. So thank you for asking. That's a blessing. Pratyosh says, I didn't even know about the BryantChambers movement until I watched your last live feed. I used to think you only made MBTI videos. Yep. That's thanks to YouTube. So, YouTube would like it if I only made MBTI videos, but not going to happen. In fact, people have been asking when I'm going to start doing the Hexaco videos. January 2018, we're going to jump into the Hexaco and the Enneagram. I don't think I'll get completely away from doing MBTI because people are still sending me questions. But most of the MBTI stuff I make going forward will hopefully just be questions people are asking me, and that'll allow me to move into Hexaco, Enneagram. We can talk some dark triad, and then we could talk more about the cognitive biases. We could talk about the logical fallacies, and then I'm really hoping the Breaking Down Proverbs series takes off. So, like I say at the end of all my videos, do the unselfish thing and share it. That's not about, those of you who come on my live calls, I don't have to say this because I know you get it. It's not about me getting views, all right? Rest assured, I'm going to get my views. I'm going to be in this game for a very long time, so I'm not worried about, I got to get to subscribers. Like, I don't even look at my subscriber numbers often. I don't care. I'm on a mission to do what has to be done, and I'm going to do that. But the more you all share things, the more other people get to benefit from the same things that you're benefiting from. All right, so that's why I do that. It's totally, I want other people to benefit. Like, I don't care if I even get the views, frankly. I just want more people to get the blessing. Amber says, you're lucky to have your family pull together. Bryant, sorry. Didn't mean to upset you. If I did, you didn't. It's totally fine. You can ask me anything you guys want. It's totally fine. Just wanted you to know you and your fam have been in my prayers. It's sad when they leave, but it makes you... It looks like Facebook cut her off. But I think I can fill in that blank. Amber, you didn't make me sad at all. It actually is a blessing to know that the people who watch and listen to what I have to say care about me enough to ask that question. So thank you. Jay Arrington says, hey, Brian. What up, Jay? How you doing, my friend? Let's see. Should upload some bloopers. Yep. Felix says, take Moses, for example. He messed up plenty. Yep, that he did. Or David. Shoot. And Solomon. All, we're all human, man. Felix says, at what point does the experimenting become a waste of one's time? So let me add some context for that question, just in case people weren't here for the rant that I was on that he's asking that question to. So we were talking about one of the things that most of you who follow me, I guarantee you're in this boat, who are purpose-driven, you struggle with, am I doing the actual purpose that I was put on this planet for? And I was saying, for you to understand your purpose, sometimes it takes experimentation. Felix is asking, how do we know when to cut the experiment off, basically? And it's what Peter Drucker says in Managing Oneself. Sorry, Facebook, this is going to show up backwards because Facebook. But Managing Oneself by Peter Drucker is the name of that book. And he talks about a process called feedback analysis, where you take anywhere from 30 to maybe 90 days doing your experiment, and then you look at the results your experiment is getting you. The experiment becomes a waste of time once you have enough data to say either this is what you should be doing, keep going, or stop, this isn't working. All right, so it really comes down to your experiment has to be tied to your end game. And if you don't know your whole purpose, you still know what the end game of what you personally want out of the deal. And so is what you're doing getting you closer to what you want out of the deal? And maybe what you want is just a clearer understanding of your purpose. If you're spending 30 days to 90 days experimenting, are you getting more clarity? And the experiment's not a waste, because the experiment may just be showing you what not to do, what not to pursue. And that's never a waste. If you know what you hate, that's at least a step in the direction to understanding what you love. Amber says, I didn't know your dad, but I know he is so very proud of you. Keep up the good work. You're such a blessing to a lot of people. You guys are the blessing, man. I'm just paying it forward. Jay says, is this the kind of Q&A stream? It is. Yes, it is. So I did some teaching up front, but now we're in the Q. I usually try to talk not very long and then spend most of the time answering questions. Let's see. Steven says, I can't stand when people are 100% hyped through their videos. I need a break. Oh, man. Rebecca says, there are phone call options. I imagine she's talking about 2 live calls. So, no, in my coaching program, we don't call on the phone. We go into a Google Hangout. And so that allows in a number of people. But the Google Hangout allows us to talk over the internet to one another. At some point, when I bring my vlog, or I may bring the Ask BC series back, Stephen and I are working that out on Facebook. We may start taking calls if I do them live, where people can call into the show and ask questions. But we'll see how that'll be down the road. I'm going to need some more equipment to make that work that I don't have right now. And it's just not a priority. So we'll eventually get there. Felix says, say you enjoy so many different types of things, but because you want to do all those things, your focus is spread out. How does your family impact your faith? Okay, he's asking a number of questions back to back. All right, so if you like a lot of things, well, that's fine to like a lot of. You can have hobbies. I like video games. Am I going to try to become a professional video game player? Nope, because I suck at most of the games I play. But it doesn't mean I stop playing them. Every once in a while, when I get 8 minutes of free time, I'll do a dungeon on Final Fantasy 12 or whatever thing I'm trying to play at the time. So, yeah, you could be interested in a lot of different things, but they don't need to all be your life's purpose. Like Jocko Willink said it best when he was asked, Tim Ferriss asked him, how do you know what weaknesses you need to develop versus the ones you can kind of just fall by the wayside. And Jocko was like, yeah, you have to evaluate, is the weakness you're dealing with something that's keeping you from your purpose or your goal? And Jocko's like, for example, I don't need to train to be a better ballerina. That ain't never going to happen, bruh. Like, I don't need to train in that type of dance. I can continue sucking at that, right? But it's knowing what should your hobbies be versus what should your life purpose be. Video games for me, hobby. Maybe fun video every once in a while on the channel just because I like talking about them. And I have a number of people who follow me who are gamers, right? Not going to be the focus of what I produce, right? But I may still make some things from time to time, but it's not the core of what I have going on. Jay says, I've been having a lot of fun with, excuse me, good Lord. Wait a minute, I think there was another question. Jay says, got any advice for an ENTP type person that wants to start a business? Yep, start with what you like. I've been having a lot of fun with marketing and branding. I started a Shopify store and I'm creating shirts for a select market. Any advice? So yeah, one, do you like selling merchandise? Like, are you into fashion? Do you know anything about fashion? I do not. That's why I don't sell it. Do you have a specific set of skills around fashion to know what looks good and what goes with what and what style are the people you are trying to sell to? Although I did have an idea for a t-shirt company that was basically Second Amendment tees. We were just going to get overly offensive gun shirts. But it's just not a project I'm ready to pursue at this point, but I think people would love that. Even though there's other t-shirt companies that do that, but I'm not a fashion guy. I was doing it as a joke that I thought a lot of older Republican type people would buy just to be hilarious. But yeah, it's really, when it comes to your business, you got to build your business around something that you like, because if you're building a business around, or like if you just like running a business, that's okay too. But if you're building your business around, I just need to make money, then you're probably going to end up not sticking with it. So I would build a business around things that I'm interested in. So my business centers around helping businesses do their marketing online. I have tons of years of experience doing that. But at the same time, I actually enjoy the process. Like I talked earlier tonight on a call about a client that we were working through a problem he was having converting sales. I enjoy the process of helping him conquer that because at the end of the day, it's still in line with my overall mission, which is to improve life for the people. Basically the vision statement of our company is to leave the world better than we found it. So that still falls in line. I also center a lot of my business around coaching because I'm really, really good at that. Because I've had tons of coaches and thousands of hours I've spent coaching other people. I'm particularly skilled to be able to do that. But I also enjoy it. I love bringing people on a call who have a problem and they don't think they know the solution, and I'm able to help them dig into their own psyche, into their own soul, and find out, here's the answer, it's right here. And they're like, oh, it was there the whole time and now I know what to do. Right? So, and I get a particular amount of joy out of that. So for me, it's not even so much running a business as it is just doing what I love to do, and I happen to get paid for it. Let's see. How does your family impact your faith and career life? My whole life centers around my family, period. And so Felix went on to ask how to get into the program. So that's when I said he can go into the description of the video, has the peak performance one-on-one coaching. You can find more about that. I'll talk more about that at the end of the show tonight too. Dino says, at Jay, the book 4 Hour Work Week might be something you want to check out. I think Tim Ferriss has put out a new version of it. I got this at a used bookstore that I used to love going to in the old neighborhood where I bought my first house. I thought the book was really good. I mean, the premise of the book is somewhat ridiculous, because I can guarantee you Tim Ferriss does not work 4 hours a week. But he also tells you how he came up with the title of the book and why he titled it that way. So once you read that in context, you understand why he titled the book the way he did, and why it seems misleading, but it's really not once he explains it to you. So Jay says, I would love to find a coach/mentor, and you are number one on my list at the moment. Sweet, man. Well, we have some slots open in January for my one-on-one peak performance coaching program, where I help you set the foundation for success, understand who you are, understand your destiny, and actually start equipping you with the firepower to go out and make it happen. So if you are interested in my man, we need to have a conversation, because I need to get you registered before all of the slots fill up, especially as we get closer to January and kicking it off. I will start ramping up. And I've already got like people who have already joined. We've got people who are already committed to join, who I'm saving slots for. So that 10 to 15 slots is going to fill up really quickly once I get more adamant about talking about it. So if it's something you're interested in, I would pull the trigger now, so that we can get you squared away, and I can get you into the program so you can get a head start. You can start doing your first week's homework now, so that when we meet in January, you have all of that stuff done. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to try to rush through it, because it is very much like a college course condensed into 4 weeks. It's not a game. Oh, Jay said, okay, I'll do you one better, Jay. Stand by, YouTube. I'm going to send a link to my friend Jay where he can get her done. Oh, crap. And now it's going to pull up the big pictures of my big head. Sorry, Jay. Hold on, brother. We'll get there. I'm going to make an app that permanently stores HTML or hyperlinks that you can copy and paste at any time. So let me make sure I typed it right. All right, Jay, it's coming at you, man. Link in the comment section here. You can click on that. It's going to give you way more information than I can talk about right now, because I want to get through some more of these questions. I will stay on the call if you want to talk more about it at the end. I'll take Q&A specifically about the program, but right now I want to focus on folks that have got the life stuff going on. And Facebook, by the way, Jay included. If I lose the connection on Facebook, which it looks like may happen, you can jump over to YouTube, BryantChambers TV, and I'll still be broadcasting there. Let's see. Nair Karina says, you are awesome. I am dealing with anxiety right now, and you're really helping me. Hugs from Portugal. Hugs back at you, Nair. Yeah, so your anxiety is totally going to be tied to the thoughts you let stay in your head. So you want to get rid of the thoughts that are causing the anxiety and replace them with proper thoughts. And how that really works, so that it doesn't just sound like some hyper spiritual thing, like remove the thoughts. It's when the thought comes in, put it in its proper perspective. Probably the things that are making you anxious are not going to end your life or put you in a position where you lose your health, or the things that really matter. And see the challenges that you're facing as opportunities to make you stronger, so that you can get better and deserve more out of your life. So you can start to see the problems not as problems, but as opportunities to get better. For example, everybody right now in the United States is up in arms about this FCC decision to overrule net neutrality, right? I will agree with most of the world that removing net neutrality, probably not the best thing in the world, but as most things in the world work, it's never as good or as bad as you think it's going to be. And frankly, if it does get worse, we do start getting more prices for stuff. Guess what? It's like the Marines say, you improvise, adapt, and overcome. Like if it gets harder for me to buy internet, I'm going to step my game up so I can afford more internet. Not go backwards and say, oh no, they're taking my right. Like, yeah, I do think it can become problematic. I'm not being a Pollyanna or putting my head in the sand, but I'm also not going to spend hours on the internet fussing about a thing that I can't change. I'm going to start preparing myself for the fight so that I can win it. All right. So I start seeing a challenge like that as motivation. If we're going to run into issues where Verizon, for example, is going to start price gouging us, I need to start looking for ways to bring in more revenue by giving more value, so I can set money aside to where if Verizon does price gouge, and you know the American, as irresponsible as our government is half the time, they don't step in and actually do their job, I'm still prepared to keep things rolling, right? Or if I can't do that, then cool. I'm much better on audio than I am on video anyway. I will focus on podcasting, because guess what? That uses a lot less bandwidth than video. So, you know, stuff like that. All right. Oh nine says I could pay off my school loans with 1 billion. Yeah, I hope so. I hope you could pay off about 100 million school loans with 1 billion. Melanie says, "Oops, I forgot to reply to that Facebook post." When did I start coaching? When I was about 16. Yeah. I think I first started coaching. I was working with my football coach brought me and my quarterback in to work with the special ed class at school. So we would volunteer during our study hall to go help teach the special ed class. I love that. Such a great group of other kids, man, that I love spending time with. Me and my quarterback used to get a real kick out of just being with them and playing sports with them. That was really my first kind of coaching situation, if you could call it that. There may have been some before that, but that's the one that comes to mind. Rebecca says, I want to sign up for the program, but what if I'm sometimes working Saturday? So there's a couple solutions. Right now, you're not the only one in the Saturday boat. So I'm going to pulse the group to make sure that we pick the right day that works for everybody. And there's a couple things at play here. One, I record all of them so you would still be able to watch them even if you couldn't come. Two, if for whatever reason you buy the program and you can't come on the live calls, when I do the next session, you would get to come on one of those, right? So I'm not going to leave anybody hanging. Like if you bought like we had a person that bought let me give an example. We had a person that paid to be in the December program. For whatever reason, it worked out that they couldn't come on the live calls. Eventually, I'm going to get to the point where hopefully I am doing a number of sessions every month. So for example, if you got in January and we happen to also do it on Saturday, which seems to be kind of a hard day for people, so we're looking at changing that, right? If for whatever reason you couldn't make that, when we do a future session, we'll figure out how to plug you in, even if it's a month later, 2 months later. But you'll still get all of the materials, all of the homework, the reading lists, and the curriculum that are all uploaded already to the website. You'll be able to watch all of the coaching that our previous programs have already gone through, which is roughly 8 hours of content. Then you get to watch the content of the group that you were actually supposed to be in. Then at some point we'd be able to plug you in. And trust me, I understand that sometimes schedules screw things up. We had a person that missed the last session of this November into December program, and it broke my heart that she couldn't be there because it was the fourth session is just powerful, where we bring everything together and I show you the kind of Rubik's Cube of how to put it all together and go out and crush it, and how to do it without fear. Like Nair was talking about dealing with fear and anxiety, and I'd show you the proper method for how to get that out of your life, so that you can win. So rest assured, if you get into one of my programs, and anybody that's been in my programs will tell you, we're going to 100 times out of 100 over deliver. In fact, after the first session, one of the people asked, like, I don't think we paid enough for this. Like, I think this should cost more than what you're charging, because the first session was worth more than what you charge for the whole program, right? So we would figure out a way to make that work for you to the degree that we could. All right, my schedule is somewhat limited at times too, so we would do the best we could. But that's something we would definitely work with you on. And the worst case scenario, let's say you get in and we're just completely unable to square you away, then we would just refund your money. And knowing me, I'd probably let you stay in and watch all the videos anyway, because that's just how I roll. But don't tell anybody. All right. Oh, Nair Karina asks, my favorite question of the night, have you watched Star Trek Discovery? Yes! And I want to love it, but it has the same problems that Star Wars has right now, which is it does things that aren't Star Trek. I don't need my frickin' Star Trek characters to be little teenage hipsters and be angsty and be cussing. Like, when did Star Trek start dropping F-bombs? By the way, for the record, I'm not offended by any of that crap. My grandmother invented the F-bomb. What I'm saying is, that's not Star Trek. Like, leave the angsty 90210 nonsense. Because, like, I love the captain on that show. That dude and Rainn Wilson's character, mwah! But it's like, I love it and hate it all at once because a couple of the other characters get on my nerves. And Star Trek is all about the frickin' characters. That's what Star Trek is literally. Basically, Star Trek is a Socratic debate. It's a story, but it's actually a philosophical ethics debate. That's what the whole thing is, and so I get to get the philosophy. And granted, there are ethical decisions that the characters run up against, but it's so busy trying to be shocking and hardcore and gritty and real and dark that it's just like, I don't need any of that in Star Trek, man. Star Trek is my favorite thing ever in terms of like entertainment, especially Star Trek The Next Generation. And it's just, I don't need it to be Star Trek The Next Generation. I get we've moved on, but literally nothing has captured how good Star Trek The Next Generation is. They just haven't been able, and actors in this series like Scott Bakula said that. He was like, when I look at the original Star Trek and I look at Next Generation, we just weren't able to capture the chemistry that you guys had. And it's true. No other Star Trek, like Deep Space Nine, after you get to season 3, starts to get good. Voyager has a lot of good stuff, but it has a lot of filler and dragging on things. But it also does some interesting things, like the episode with Amelia Earhart. But it's just like none of it just does not match up to TNG. And the new Star Trek is trying to be way too, like, hard. And this is the gritty Star Trek, and the Klingons, like, oh. Like, that's not what makes Star Trek awesome. It's not an action show. It's the one show where I don't have to be focused on the action. I'm actually focused on Babylon 5. Dino, you're not the first person who told me I need to start watching that, and I'm eventually going to. But yeah, I did watch the first, I think, 5 or 6 episodes, and then I refused to buy the CBS app. And because I wasn't in love with the show, I just let it ride. They'll eventually sell it to Netflix because they're probably not going to make any money on their CBS app. So that's cool. All right. Also, Felix's question on coaching. Where did you learn how to develop the coaching programs unique to what you do? Did you go through any special training or anything? Absolutely. I buy coaching every year. I went through intense military coaching and training for over 7 years before I ever picked up a rifle and went into combat. And I learned a lot of techniques on the battle. A lot of what I learned, frankly, came from being a leader on the battlefield and having to coach people on how to not die. The game of life ain't any different. The difference is you all are not at risk of dying. So I've had to coach people in some of the most intense situations, period. You know, and I've coached football, and I've coached executive professionals, right? So a lot of it I've learned through going through coaching programs that were coaching me on how to be a coach, facilitation programs that I've been through with different company executives where I've been brought in as a coach for different groups of people, different professionals. So yeah, a lot of what I produce is an amalgamation of a lot. I'm pulling from military experience and spending time in combat and relaying those experiences in ways that you can apply to your life practically in this world. And then things that I've learned from coaching programs that I've been in, things that I've been able to glean, and being trained as a facilitator, right? I've had to do like conflict management for organizations where people in an organization can't get along. And I've got to be able to come in and at the very least figure out, even if I can't get them to get along, we still have a solution. That, and one of the solutions with one group was to move one of the people off the team to another team because they just weren't going to get along. But they needed someone to be able to come in and evaluate that and talk to the team and get them to be open and honest to the degree that they were willing. So yeah, I have a very diverse array of experiences being coached on how to coach, and actually going out and coaching, right? And doing ministry for a number of years too. right? Where when I joined the ministry I was in, like I wasn't an ordained minister or any of that. I was a volunteer, but like I had to go through like a rigorous psychological analysis where I had to meet with therapists. Like I've been to therapy before, and it's freaking awesome. I was like, this is great. I'm in here crying, and I don't know what to do, but it was great. So yeah, I've been through the ringer in terms of being a coach. Great question, Ray. Thank you for asking that, because I think a lot of other people may be wondering. Rebecca says, I have good eye and hand coordination. I love history. I love ancient Egypt. I want to read and write hieroglyphics. I love ancient Egypt culture. What was their philosophy? I think I am not highly up to speed on all of Egypt's great history in terms of philosophy. So I don't know that I can answer that question with any depth that you wouldn't already know. You probably know a lot more than me in that regard. Anna says, hey, you so remind me of me. You looking for that book. I'm like I'm looking for something I failed to plan ahead in front of my assistant principal. Because I know it's there, but I feel like a fox about ready to chew my foot off to escape this humiliation in the bottom of the puddle. Then she gets impatient and leaves to write and send me a nasty email about tidying up. Then I start back at one, hating my situation, shaking my head. I love educating, but I'm getting to the point where I don't believe in teaching anymore, if that makes sense to anyone. Sure, anybody can get burnt out doing what they're doing, especially if you do love the process, but you're not getting the results you think. And if you teach in a system that doesn't really allow you to teach in a way that's natural or organic to you. One of the reasons why I never went to teach at a high school, as much as I love teachers and what teachers have done for me, is they're still a part of a system that I don't agree with, right? And I'm involved in my kids' school, and I go to the meetings and I listen, and these are good human beings trying to do good, but like most bureaucratic systems, there's a heavy level of irresponsibility that's just natural when you're trying to run organizations by committee. So I'm not, when I talk about the school system, like I'm not angry at all the people they're trying, like I don't think they're trying to keep our children uneducated, especially not the teachers, because they're freaking saints as far as I'm concerned. But the system is fundamentally not preparing us for real life. So I'm better off coaching in an environment where you're not learning this stuff in school. You're just not. Like I come on here and talk about the time value of money. You might not even learn that till you get to graduate school. Right, but I'll teach you about that in very simple terms on a call, because those are things that you need to know for your life versus memorizing facts, right? I teach people how to read, and now granted, I'm not physically teaching you how to read. I'm teaching you how to take a book this big and get through it relatively quickly, right? It's a very large book, right? Because people have taught me how to get through stuff like this relatively quickly, right? And teach me that books are a relationship, not just a one-night stand. So yeah, I can totally understand that. Signing Cure says, my grandfather and uncle are also buried at Arlington National Cemetery. Wow. Thank you for their service. Ella Wilson says, hi everyone. Ray, talking about bloopers, haha. You should still do them though, but maybe try upload them on a different platform like Insta, maybe dedicate a day to them. Yeah, it's part of the problem with my bloopers is I think some of the stuff I say during bloopers, people are like, oh God, he's so vulgar. The stuff I say behind closed doors that might offend people, like that's why I leave most of the bloopers out. Felix says, breaking down Proverbs as in scripture or generally well-known Proverbs? Both. So the episode 3 is actually one of Solomon's actual Proverbs about how to build wealth. but like the first proverb that I did was Sun Tzu. So if you haven't seen it, I did Sun Tzu first, and it's not just ancient proverbs. Like I use commentary that's come out today. In fact, one of the Breaking Down Proverbs episodes is going to be dedicated to one of my quotes. And if you want to get a head start on what the quote is, you should be following me on Twitter because it's my profile description. Right? That is actually my quote. I came up with that, and it's something that I believe in with all of my heart, and I'm going to break down what I mean by it. And in fact, if you're listening to my podcast, you already heard me break it down. So if you're on my podcast, by the way, I know some of you watching this call are on my podcast, and now I've asked y'all 3 times, and I just filmed episode 4 yesterday, so that'll be up soon. I know for a fact a bunch of y'all are watching listening to my podcast, and not a single one of y'all have rated it or left me a review. Now listen, I get it. Your life is busy. It is. But such a small thing that'll take you 30 seconds of your life would mean the world to me. So if we're friends, right, I need y'all to get on them reviews, Jack, because every time I log into iTunes and I'm like, well then, I'm still at 0 ratings. I'm not feeling that. So if we're cool, take care of her, brother, man, because Apple wants to see that and see activity to help I can get that podcast promoted, because I don't even run ads on podcasts. It's just me talking, right? But so I can reach more people, change more lives. Let's see. Ray says, I have to leave now because I'm about to start work soon, but thank you for the conversation. Really got a lot out of this. Watch the replay for your reply. Sweet. Ray, have a great day at work or great night, depending on where you are, what your time is. Felix says, when is the next open slop period? I don't know what slop is. Angelica Gutierrez says, thank you, Brian, for teaching me that acceptance is the key to my freedom. It has really helped me feel more self-confident. I love the 69 Pillars of Success videos. Excellent. I'm glad you got something good out of that. That's a blessing. Jay says, okay, now I'm really sold on this coaching. Well, get it done, man. I gave you the link on Facebook. Oh, slot, says Felix. So there are slots open now for the January session. I do not have follow-on sessions scheduled yet. That's something my wife and I are going to have to look at when we sit down to finalize. We sat down a couple months ago to plan out 2018. We'll sit down again in early January to figure out what the rest of 2018 is going to look like. So right now we don't have any other scheduled coaching openings except the one in January. Because we need to work through some of the other things that I'm doing. I'm taking on more clients so that we can build up some of our revenue and actually start taking care of some of the people that are helping us a bit better than we do. So all of that's going to affect my ability to focus time. So, for a program where I'm going to be spending 2 hours out of a week with one specific group of people, that's something that I want to make sure I'm giving you everything I got. So I would just say your best bet is to jump on the January one if you're interested and just get it knocked out. Because the beauty, when you talk about the value of the program too, like you'll go through the program the 4 weeks with me, but it's not over. Like you're just going to lay a foundation and then be given, here's what to do next. And then what I have encouraged everyone to do, because there's a private Facebook group for the coaching program, where you come back at least every month to talk about your progress. I'll get to see that and be able to answer questions and help you steer the ship in case you're off course. So the coaching doesn't stop when we stop meeting. It's just getting started, really. And so I've designed it so that it's a forever program. So once you've bought in, not only do you get the coaching sessions with me, you get to watch all of the coaching sessions that came before you. You get to do all the homework and build what I call an I Love Me book, which is filled with all of the things I'm going to make you work on so that you can go back and reference it in a month, 6 months, 90 days, a year to figure out how am I progressing toward these things that I wrote down in the beginning. Right? But then you're able to come back another month and there's probably 2 more coaching sessions. So you can watch your sessions, but you can also watch sessions with other people, because chances are most humans have one of 6 problems. When you've been doing this as long as I have, it's patterns. Like none of you ever ask me anything that stumps me, because at this point I'm unstumpable, because human problems really boil down to 6 basic things. And so I'm able to help you through. And if you're listening to the other sessions, chances are one of the problems that you may be having in the future, we've already addressed it. And so you essentially get ongoing coaching from me, even if you're not physically on the call. So I would just jump in as soon as possible, because the sooner you get in, the sooner you put yourself in position to start getting all of the content as we produce it. And like if you, like say you join tonight, right? You're going to get access, and then you can go watch the coaching sessions that I did in November. You can just go watch them. So you'll know exactly what's coming when we do yours, which will help you flesh out the answers to the questions. It'll help you, like when I'm correcting people on, they wrote an answer down, but it wasn't enough. And I'm like, you need to get more detailed than that so I can really help you. That's something that you can already be preparing for. So theoretically, every coaching session will get better over time because people will have more content to consume. Like I'm building it, basically, I am robbing myself to give you all a program that you cannot, for that price, get anywhere else. And I know because I'm buying the courses from the Ty Lopez's and all these other people. Great programs, right? I'm just telling you, like, what you're going to get. Basically, I'm looking at what everyone else is selling, and I'm figuring out I'm going to give everybody 10 times more than that. Or in some cases, 100 times more. Right? So in terms of slots, I wouldn't worry about it. I'd just say pull the trigger as soon as you can. Yay, Rubik's Cube. Haha. Can you solve it? You seem like the type that can solve it. Nope. I can't solve a Rubik's Cube to save my life. I told you guys, I'm not as intelligent as I look on camera. I am really good at explaining things. That's a psychology thing. Nope, I can't solve a Rubik's. Like the only time I ever solved, in fact, I'm looking at a Rubik's Cube across the room. The only time I ever solved a Rubik's Cube is I popped all the squares off and put them back together. So I guess that is kind of solving it in a breaking the rules way. So maybe I have ingenuity, but maybe not so much raw IQ. Singing says, oh no, that's the one I just read. Jay says, I like the direction that Star Wars is going though. I just saw the new flick and it's one. Yeah, a lot of other people, so I've seen some, I wouldn't call them negative reviews, but a lot of reviews that reinforced what I thought about what was wrong with 7 has issues. Like, I don't like the comedy that they're putting in Star Wars. I think it's not funny and I think it's stupid. And again, me being a character and narrative person, not a, oh, look at this X-Wing battle guy. It's like, I don't need Finn asking Rey if she has a boyfriend. Like, this doesn't. But, you know, I grew up with the original, so. Although I wasn't born when the first one came out. Peachy says, speaking of F-bomb, you know who uses it way too much? Gary V. I'm not prude either, but it's annoying enough sometimes that I just quit listening. Guessing he doesn't care. Yeah, he actually talks about that. He says he knows that it's off-putting to people. F-bomb ever so often to accentuate emotion is just fine. Yeah, for me, he uses F-bombs the way Smurfs use the word Smurf. Like, I think to him it's just a verbal crutch. Like you said, you use it to accentuate a situation. It's, I think for him, effing and effing this and effing that, like, it's a verbal crutch for him. Like, in this particular case is one of my verbal crutches. You'll hear me say, now that I've said it, you'll hear me saying it all the time. I think he's just grown to overuse it because it's part of his language. Dominic says, that's why I love Gary Vee. Ruby says, you're an amazing person, Brother Bryant. I'm just paying forward what amazing people gave me. And I know that sounds like false humility, but I'm being honest. I have a responsibility to pay forward all the goodness that's been given to me. And I've had some, like, amazing. You should see the people I've had in my life that have trained me. Jay Arrington says, Facebook was tripping out and I didn't get that link. Is it possible to DM a link? So actually, I'll do you one better, Jay. If you look at the description of this video, scroll down to where it says get coaching from me. The first link that says one-on-one peak performance coaching, you can click on that. It'll take you directly to my site. I would post it in the comments here, but YouTube will F up the link because my name is in it, and then YouTube is treating, like if I type my name in the comments, YouTube immediately translates that into the link to my YouTube page, which is, I get it, YouTube, watch time is Jesus Christ to you guys, but friggin' so now I have to direct people to the comments or the description instead of just type. I used to be able to type links in, but the YouTube update took that away. So check the description. But for real ease and my website is really easy. It's BryantChambers.com/coaching. BryantChambers.com/coaching. It'll give you the list of everything. It's not a very long website. It's here's everything you're going to get, the benefits and the values to you, and then some actually, I don't think I've uploaded testimonials to this site yet. We're still working on that. But it's quick and dirty. I've explained a lot of the big picture stuff, but that'll give you the details, and you can click, check out, and you're good to go. Kimberly says, still here. Wow. Hey, Bryant, you are so great. I've taken a shower and everything, and you're still here. Thanks, brother. Right on. Nair says, I need to go now, BC. It's 5:30 a.m. That is dedication. And it was a crazy, awful week, but thank you for the answers and your videos. You were amazing. Thank you, Nair. And I hope, is it Nair or Nair? I want to make sure. I'm always a stickler for saying people's names right because I think that's respect. But thank you for being here. I really hope I was able to help you deal with some of the anxiety. Keep coming around. I'm trying to do a live show every Friday or Saturday night. Sometimes I do them on Thursday. Keep coming back. I'd very much like to see how you're progressing and see if there's anything I can do to help you. Angelica Gutierrez says, hey, that's the only way I have solved a Rubik's Cube before, too. Yep. It's the only way I've ever done it. Jay says, I'm so disappointed with the new Star Wars movies. They don't have the same epic feel to them, and I feel like the plot characters are weak compared to the first 6 episodes. Yeah, for me, it's... first of all, I thought the prequels were terrible. I think 7... I haven't even seen 8, and I'm just going to assume it's better than the prequels. But the the first 3 movies were great. Empire Strikes Back is by far... and strangely, I am a bigger Star Trek fan than Star Wars fan, so I don't necessarily have the same dog in the fight that a lot of other people do. Like, Star Wars can totally suck, and it doesn't ruin me. I'm like, I didn't like Finn's character. I don't like Rey's character. I don't like... Me and Mark Hamill don't like what they're doing with Luke. I didn't like any of it. I liked Kylo Ren a little bit, but I think that's biased because I like Adam Driver, and I think he's a really good actor. Although I think John Boyega is a really good actor, too. I just think... an actor can only act so well when the writing is terrible. And I say terrible like I'm a screenplay writer. I couldn't write a screenplay to save my life, so it's better than anything I could do. But, yeah, I just don't care about the characters. And if I don't care about the characters in a Star Wars movie, like if this was a Monty Python film with all the stupid jokes in it, cool. Because I'm not watching that to make a connection like I would with a Star Wars movie. There's something visceral there. But again, I haven't seen 8, so 8 may, if I see it when I see it, it may be the most amazing movie I've ever seen. I don't know. I really don't know till I've seen it. Just I know everything that happens in it, and everything people have been telling me and things I've read just kind of confirms what I already don't like about it. You know, I feel like they're doing things specifically to sell toys instead of building characters that you actually care about. But, you know, I could be wrong. Felix says, first of your live shows. Jay, I haven't seen the newest one yet, but don't have high expectations. Hopefully it will surprise me. Yeah, one of my best friends, he and I talked. We kind of hashed it out today. He said he really liked it. He liked it better than Rogue One, which I was like, okay. I didn't love Rogue One. I thought it was okay. I thought it was better than Episode 7 for sure, but it wasn't better than the original trilogy. But I don't know. Eventually I know I'll see it one way or the other. And we'll figure that out. But, you know, I don't hate the Star Wars movies. I don't like a lot of the characters. I don't like Poe. I don't like Finn. I don't like the way they're being written. But my buddy told me the way Finn actually plays out in this film is actually really good. And I was like, okay, well, maybe there's something there. You know, I just think they ruined his character in the first one because J.J. Abrams wrote it so stupidly. Like, we're going to take a janitor on a SEAL Team 6 mission, but then he refuses to kill people I'm okay with because he realizes, wait, we're just murdering innocent people. Don't want to do that. I'm on board. But he also is traumatized by watching all of his friends around him getting beat down. He's got blood on him, and oh my God, I can't do this. But then like an hour later, he's shooting people down, like shooting down his friends that he was terrifyingly watching die in another. It's just, when you do that type of stuff in a movie and there's no continuity, you break the fourth wall for me, and I tune out. I'm like, okay, I'm not supposed to take this seriously. And if I'm just gonna go watch a dumb action movie, I'll go watch Samurai Cop. I don't need to go see Star Wars to see an action film. Johnny Cox says, what books are you reading right now? Johnny, you are late, because I told everybody what books I'm reading, but I'm going to do it again just for you. And by the way, I'm saying that out of love, not trying to make you feel bad. So I'm always reading Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. I am reading, I've only read the introduction to Zealot. It's a historical account of my main man, Jesus the Christ. Love that dude, man. Jesus is a badass. And then we got The Conversion Code. We got my buddy hooked me up with Crucial Conversations. It's a real good book, especially if you got to deal with people in the workplace. The Four by Scott Galloway. This book about Facebook, Amazon, Google, and Apple. Whoo! Legit, especially if you're in marketing. Better read it. The really deep into the Little Red Book of Selling. Really digging into Tony Robbins' Unlimited Power. A lot of what I teach comes out of this, by the way. Definitely pick that up. And my man William Jones, the ex-con, voodoo priest, goddess, and the African king. I have not started this yet, but basically a social and cultural and political analysis of 4 black comic book heroes. And by the way, this is the test he gave me. So I met him. This is really cool, actually. I'll show this because it bears repeating. William actually signed the book for me, which I thought was dope. I actually met him and bought a copy of his book. As soon as he told me the premise of the story, I was like, that's dope. I want the book. I bought it, shook his hand. I was like, dude, you got to sign this. I got to get a picture of you for Instagram. Can you point out who these 4 characters are? Now, I got 3 of the 4. I could not get the 4th one, though. Do you know who all of these black superheroes are? Here you go, Facebook. Don't worry, YouTube, I'll bring it back to you too. Can you recognize all 4 of these people? I was able to get 3 out of the 4 because I think 3 out of the 4 is actually kind of easy. But one of them is a character he says nobody ever gets right unless they're the hardest of the hardcore comic book fans, which I am not. About the only comic book hero I ever really liked was Wolverine. And I'd say liked enough to actually read, because I'm not a big comic book fan, which I know I'm not really a geek, apparently, because I don't like comic books. But comic books are kind of like video games. I don't think they're written that well. This is my #1 favorite comic book, the origin story of Wolverine. So not everything on my bookshelf is psychology books. So yeah, that's what I'm reading. Gina, thanks for asking. Rebecca says, do all humans want their name to be remembered? Or do they personally want someone to be proud of them? Like human approval? Or just escape being failure? No. So not every human being. In fact, I can name one by name who has passed away. He was one of Tony Robbins' mentors named Wayne Dyer, who was asked by Tony, do you want people to remember you? He's like, no, I don't. What everyone has a need for, though, is to feel significant in whatever way they define that. So what you're really asking, in my opinion, is do people have a need to feel significant? And the answer is yes. But the way they feel significant is very different, right? If everybody remembers Leonardo da Vinci, but I'm sure he's not wherever he is, if he's up in heaven, he's like, ooh, people still remember me. He's probably doing whatever he's doing, right? So I don't think everybody feels like they need to be remembered. Because he was even asked, like, do you want your kids to remember? He's like, no, I just want them to appreciate the experiences we had, and what they do with that experience is their business. I just hope they live and enjoy their lives. Jay, agreed. I like Star Wars, Star Trek equally. I wasn't so disappointed with the new Star Treks, but yeah, and the new Star Treks have a lot of problems too. Not enough to where I was ready to write them off, but like so I'm a much bigger Star Trek fan than Star Wars. The fact that Kirk becomes the captain of the ship after being in the brig, like 15 minutes later he's the captain of the ship, was absolutely stupid. It just was. But there was enough equity in Kirk's character over the years of him being a person that you're like, all right, I'm going to forgive this and just see where it goes. And then it turns out that he's a flawed character that develops over time, and he's likable. Finn is just annoying. Like, outside of my issues with how they wrote his character, his antics were just annoying. Like, I think John Boyega is a really good actor because he was good at what they asked him to do, but I just thought his character was annoying. John had just retracted a message. Hopefully she wasn't yelling at me for getting on her case about not being here on time. I was just joking. Anna says, time to turn in. It has been an unpleasant day, but this time you shared is valuable. Thank you. I appreciate you. You is kind. You is smart. You is wonderful. Enjoy your evening. God bless you, Anna. Thanks for coming. I'm glad you got something good out of it. Oh, Jaina was saying that her name is pronounced Jaina. My apologies, Jaina. I want to always make sure that I'm pronouncing people's names right. And she totally didn't need to retract that statement. I want you guys, if I mess up y'all's name, just like, hey dude, my name's Jaina. I don't know who this Jaina person is. Right? So please, yeah, feel free to correct me. Anyway, if you have no more questions, friends, I'm going to go to bed because I got to be up tomorrow to get ready for an event that I'm going to go enjoy. Was not able to find all the ugly Christmas sweaters are sold out, friends. Oh, I did promise you guys that we drop some knowledge. Dino says, what lighting system are you using? Just the natural lights in my office, and then I have one LED light behind the cameras where you're looking at me. What is significant mean, says Rebecca? Well, it means different things to different people. But the point is people want to be unique. If you had gone to high school, when I was in high school, we had what was called the goth kids that dressed in all black and had earrings all over the place and the guys wore eye makeup. And it wasn't that, the purpose behind that isn't that they're weird. It's because they want to be unique. Human beings have a need to distinguish themselves from other people. So we have a need to be unique, to be desired, to be significant, right? But part of that, we define that for ourselves. What that means individually is not really for me to say. But yeah, lighting system's real easy. One LED. I have a couple other LEDs I don't have hooked up. For when I'm doing live shows, I just keep it simple. And when I'm outside, I just use natural lighting, which is one of the reasons I love to film outside. Angela says, I'm late. Tonight is usually bake night. I feel you. Rebecca says, yeah, I always wanted to do what others are not doing. Present INFP perspective in my own creative way in a book. Yeah. But we all have a desire to do that. That is not unique to the INFP. We all have a desire to be unique. Even those of us that want to conform, we still want to have something about us that sets us apart. So friends, it's been a pleasure. For those of you that have questions about the coaching program, real quick, Felix, Jay, I think Jay had to bounce. Did I get everything answered for you, for all of you that have questions about the coaching program? Again, the link is BryantChambers.com/coaching. Get in as soon as you can. So the sooner we can get you through the program, the sooner we can start you on the process of continuing to move towards your goals. And I actually am going to help you achieve them, but we first have to help you understand them. Right. And it's not like, so don't misunderstand. It's not you're going to come in and I'm going to tell you this is what you're to do with your life. It's me taking you on that discovery to help you determine what you're supposed to be doing with your life and showing you some practical, like I am always about, Gary Vee calls it the clouds and the dirt. I call it the strategic and the tactical. Okay. I'm always going to give you the concepts and the philosophy. Right, but I'm always going to give you the practical. Like when we talk about developing proper mindsets, I'm going to show you how to do it, not just tell you that you need to. I'm going to give you techniques to do that, right? Some of which I've shared on here, okay? So just understand that the sooner we can get you through, the sooner we can start you on the journey and then keep you on the path. Because part of the reason why the Facebook group exists is because I want to keep you accountable. I want you to be a part of a group of people that are going to check in and say, hey, are you working towards your goal? And by the way, the program is designed to help you professionally, personally. Some people came in with relationship goals. Other people had business. They wanted to grow their business. All of those things are going to be addressed by setting the proper foundation. All right, so we're going to say, are you still working out 3 times a week like you said you were going to get in better shape, if that's your goal, right? So I want to help keep you guys accountable. Rebecca says, thank you. Anna says, shoot, before I go, little teacher tidbit. Ugly Christmas sweaters can easily be found at Goodwill. Thank you. That is great advice. I'm going to put... Now, the problem is I got to find one that fits me, though, because I'm not exactly a small guy. I can't wear a medium. But thank you for the tip. Rebecca says, a professional caricaturist once said, a good counselor helps you get what you are outside of you. What is that? I think that's a pretty straightforward comment. Like, you need someone with outside perspective to help you see what you can't see about yourself. Jay, I can't afford the coaching right now. This isn't going to be the last one ever right now. It won't be the last one ever. It's the only one I have scheduled right now, but it won't be the last one ever. Is there an age requirement for the coaching? No. I have had people as young as 15 go through some of my coaching, but they went through my marketing program. The youngest I've had come through the one-on-one coaching, I think, was 19. But I don't put age requirements. I do require that if you are under the age of 18, obviously you're checking this with your padres before you make the move, because I don't want to get any phone calls from parents that say, hey, my kid just bought this thing and we didn't know about it and we're angry. Like, don't be angry, mom and dad. I'm happy to give you a refund. So if you're still living at home, check it with the padres before you do it. But I don't put an age requirement on there. Isaac INTP says, I'm in the same boat as Jay. So here's what I'm going to say to you guys that are in that boat. Are you watching the 69 Pillars of Success? And I want you to actually answer me in the comments. Are you watching the 69 Pillars of Success? All right. Then answer that question. Then what are you reading? With what money you do have, where are you investing it? Okay. And this isn't about getting you in my program. This is about making sure that you have money to get whatever you need and want. And that's only going to happen if you're making proper decisions. All right. And trust me, I've been there. I went into a coaching situation where they wanted to charge me $25,000 for the coaching, and I was willing to pay. Totally willing, because I knew if I went into this program for $25,000 because I was going to the dude's house. Like, I was sleeping in that dude's guest room for this coaching program, right? So I knew, him being the CEO of the company, he was going to be able to help me explode my business. I did not have the $25,000 in cash to make the move. And so I told myself, I will never be in this situation again. I'll read every freaking finance book. I'll do whatever I have to do in my business to grow it so that I have that type of disposable cash, even though I have 7 people living in a house that I'm paying for, right? So what I'm saying is, you need to make sure, if you're in the boat right now where you can't drop that, then you need to evaluate, are you spending too much time doing things that aren't having a return on investment? Not so you can buy my program. I don't care about that. So you can do whatever you want to do financially. Because I'm telling you, I've been there, and it killed me that I couldn't get into that program. I would have handed them the $25,000 in cash if I would have had it. That's how much faith I had in this person's ability to coach me. Couldn't do it. And by the way, his time was probably worth at least $100,000. Okay, Jay says, yes, I'm loving them. Isaac says, yes, excellent. Keep doing it. All right, we got new episodes coming out every week. You can't get in the paid stuff, get the free stuff, man. I'm telling you. And listen to my podcast. For the love of God, the freaking jewels I've been dropping on the podcast, yo. Seriously, get it done. All right. Jay says, Plutarch, makers of Rome. Okay, good. So you guys are doing the right thing. If that's the case, then just keep doing the right thing, and then you'll look back and be like, yeah, you won't have that challenge anymore. All right? So anyway, friends, allow me to say it's been a distinct pleasure to serve all of you tonight. I hope Where can you find my podcast? On iTunes, just search BryantChambers. The name of the podcast is the BryantChambers Movement. On the app Anchor, same thing, and on Google Play Store is where you can get my podcast. And all of you who are listening to my podcast, all 300 of you, first of all, there's 9,000 of you plus on this channel. All of you should be watching and listening to the podcast, right? But yeah, leave me a rating, leave me a review. Even if you give me a 1 star, if you hate it, cool. But do something. Don't just leave it blank. But yeah, also, let me say before you all run off, for those of you who may not have access to the coaching and whatnot, I do want to do a shameless plug very quickly for something that you can do to contribute to the movement. All right. So if you're not aware, we have a Patreon page. It's patreon.com/BryantChambers. And here's the deal, right? If you believe that our mission is legit, and only if you believe the mission is legit, I want you to put skin in the game. I want you to contribute towards helping us reach over 1 billion people with life-changing knowledge. Okay, so that we can fundamentally change the way the world thinks and thus change the way the world acts. And maybe by the time you and I get off this spinning blue orb, we will have made it at least a little bit better than it is today. And by the way, it's getting better every day. I'm just trying to contribute to what's already happening. All right. And if you're getting something good out of this here, I want you to contribute, not to keep the show on the air. The reason why I don't very often talk about Patreon and why I have been talking about it more frequently is I don't like giving the impression like if you don't give, the show's going to go off the air, because it's not. Like if all of you remove your contributions today, the show is going to stay on because I've got other people to help. But I want you to be a part. Like I said, all of what I'm doing here, all this free coaching and these hours I spend with you guys is paying forward something someone gave to me. I want you to do the same. You might not be able to buy a coaching program or make videos of your own, right? But everybody could at least give $1, right? And if everybody that watched my shows did that on Patreon, imagine what I'd be able to do and deploy money towards doing better things, like helping my team that helps me so greatly get more content done. Right now, my editor and I are talking about how are we going to manage the new Facebook show with my show, the clients I have to manage. What I'm saying is that frees up time for us to make more stuff that helps more people, to build more programs, right? Like Elon Musk, to build even more affordable programs. So some of you that say, this is kind of steep, I can't make this work, you'd be contributing to us being able to put out other things that maybe are a little bit more in your price range. So bottom line, if you believe we're spreading a good message and people are getting good things out of this, there's no contribution too small. And there's a mistake I want to help you all avoid that I've made many times when it comes to Patreon and people that have blessed my life, is I've not given because I want to give them so much. So I don't give him anything because I don't want to just give him $1 because he deserves more than that. There is no contribution too small. If everybody who watched and benefited from these videos gave $1 to Patreon, that would fundamentally change and create more ability for us to create more things to help more people. So I want you to seriously consider, even if it's just $1, if that's all you got. Now, if you don't have it, let me be clear. This isn't a pressure thing. Like if you're literally strapped and you're counting every dollar that comes into your house just to eat, keep your money, all right? Keep it. I don't want anybody freaking breaking themselves to get into a coaching program. That's why I make my coaching program so cheap compared to other people, because I don't want people having to give up food for themselves or for their kids to come get coaching. Get your life squared away first, okay, by continuing to come around and consuming more than just my content. Listen to Tony Robbins and Gary Vaynerchuk and Ty Lopez and all these other people who have something good to give you. All right. But for those of you that do have it to give, even $1 changes lives. Like the deal I am trying to make with God is every dollar that comes in, I want that to equal at least 1 to 1,000 people that we reach. Right? So for every dollar we come in, I'm like, I want what we do to reach at least 1,000 people. So think of it this way. Instead of, you're giving money to keep our show on the air, wrong. I'm going to keep the show on the air because this is my calling. But if your dollar could help me reach 1,000 more people, then it's worth the contribution. So consider doing that. Consider giving. Patreon.com/BryantChambers. You ain't got it, keep your money. I'm going to continue making free content all the time, right? And by free, I mean you don't even watch. If you notice you don't watch ads on my channel, that's on purpose, friends. It's not that YouTube is skipping the ad rolls. My channel is not even monetized. Because Google yells at me about it all the time. Don't you want money? You could be making so much money. Go jump off a cliff, Google. I'm not going to make my viewers watch 30 seconds of a freaking Viagra ad to get to what they really want to watch, because that's how you're making your money. Sorry. I'm not going to inundate people with stuff that wastes their time. All right, so keep that in mind. Let me make sure I didn't miss any last-minute questions. Isaac says good night. I will rate the podcast. Sweet. Columbus Macaron says... stupid things. Let's get rid of him. All right. Jay says good night. Janice says, where can I find your podcast? Excellent. So, yeah, everybody, thank you so much for being a part of what we're doing tonight. I love you all very much. Remember that we are stronger than I, and we'll see you tomorrow. God bless.